make sure that the results are conclusive, at least to the 5 of you. And so with that in mind, I do just want to share a few highlights from the financial statements. And the idea is that not so much that we would proceed with the discussion, but that I can at least make you aware of these. And when we come back in 2 weeks to proceed with all the various budget and finance topics at the next workshop, that it would be with these in mind. So first, I just want to make it obvious that if it wasn't obvious previously, that the city is absolutely in a growth phase, and that is evidenced by all the new facilities, all the new services, programs, new personnel, new contracts. The city has a lot going on, and I suppose this is a highlight that is certainly could possibly be perceived as negative, which is the general fund operating expenditures have increased 12.8% from the prior year. Again, there's a reason for that, and the reason is that the city is in a growth phase. Our challenge is to determine how we are going to manage that growth. Similarly, government-wide liabilities increased by 125%. Again, that probably sounds more negative than it is. The reason for that is that the city completed 2 additional phases of borrowing to complete the utility, or to, I guess, begin the utility undergrounding project and the stormwater drainage projects. The total amount borrowed between the 2 was over $9 million. And so there's a corresponding increase to government-wide liabilities in that amount. Keep in mind the city had issued only 1 round of debt prior to that, and that was for the City Center project a year ago, or at least a year prior to these financial statements. On the positive side, we issued that debt for a reason. The reason is to construct new capital facilities. So government-wide assets increased nearly 30%. In fact, governmental funds capital assets increased 23% from the prior year. And again, that is almost exclusively related to the City Center facilities. A couple of things to keep in mind. We want to be aware of the significance of any one-time revenues and the way we treat those, because we would certainly, for instance, never want to receive a non-recurring revenue and use that for ongoing personnel costs, for instance. So we did receive two contributions of that sort. The first is obviously right behind me in Rock Park. That is a donated asset on the financial statements, valued at nearly $1.2 million. We also received, of course, the lawsuit settlement proceeds from BP in the net amount of $580,000. That will be booked as a commitment for future expenditures. The mayor had asked about that on the agenda setting, or I think it was on the agenda setting meeting previously. It's my suggestion that and the board has previously approved, that we will set those funds aside for a future project. And then finally, the board should certainly be commended for the fact that it has dealt with this growth and these expenditure increases by taking some bold steps to stabilize the revenue. The millage rate was increased for the first time since 1989 in this fiscal year that was just audited. That, combined with the property value increase, was enough to generate an 18% increase in property tax revenue. And at the same time, the board supported increasing the hourly parking rate, and that, combined with the tourism growth that the city has experienced, was enough to generate an 11.4% increase in parking enforcement revenue. So again, the board should be commended for taking those actions. And when we combine all those and roll down to the city's net position, which could said to be similar to net worth on a personal basis, or the difference between what the city owns and what the city owes, the city reported a net position increase of 10.0%, and that follows a 3% increase in the prior year. Generally speaking, that number can be seen as an indicator as to whether the city is better off or worse off as a result of its operations. And again, that is a 10% increase from the prior year. So with all that said, I think the theme of how we approach the next workshop and how we approach the next budget is how to keep managing this growth. And like I mentioned on the agenda setting meeting, we will do that by revisiting the policies we've already adopted. We will take a look at some new policies, and we will start the discussion about fiscal year 2017 to address the city's long-term sustainability. That's all I have. Thanks.
Vince, thank you. Does any of the commissioners have any questions for the finance director?
Good job, Vince. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Next, public comment. This section is reserved for public comment on matters or concern pertaining to city business and which are not on the agenda. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes. Would anybody like to speak this evening? Mr. Kochek.
Steve Kochek, 15301 2nd Street, East Madeira Beach, Florida. What I'd like to mention tonight is with the budget coming up, one, I would hope that we would fix the problem that we had when we built the complex, and that was the lack of any solar energy being produced. We have money now. It's a great time, I guess, to bring this up. We got that BP, which was the oil spill. So now why don't we put it into something positive and put it into solar energy? We don't have one solar panel on all these flat roofs that were built. And I think that at this day and age is something that we really should have to look at and do. And I saw the building being built, so there's a lot of steel in here. So I'd find it very hard to believe that a solar panel's too heavy for this building. The other thing, also I would like to just thank the citizens of Madeira Beach on the high turnout at the election yesterday. And I was happy to see what the outcome of the referendum. I was out there, and what I had heard was a lot of people might have voted yes, but they got confused by the ballot language. They felt they were being taken advantage of. So whoever wrote that, I think a simple yes or no, do you want to allow somebody to sell the property, would have been a lot better than the wording that was given. People were very upset with that. I don't know whether you heard it, but I heard it. And that was when they came out. So something like that could be discussed in the future and maybe brought up again. But at this point in time, if you want to know why it failed, that was a big, big reason. So you can pat on the back whoever wrote that up and approved it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kochek. Captain Hubbard, did you have your hand up to speak? Okay. That's okay. Yes, sir.
I want to speak about
Yes, sir. You'd have to come to the podium. Excuse me. You have to come to the. I'm sorry.
Is this an appropriate time?
If you're going to make public comment on matters that are not on the agenda, okay, then that's the time to make comment on it. Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir. Sir, okay. Public comment, like I said, public comment is on matters concerning or pertaining to city business which are not on the agenda. If it's on the agenda, wait till the agenda item comes up. If it's not on the agenda and it has to do with city business, now's the time to come up. Does anybody have any public comment they would like to make of matters of the city which are not on the agenda tonight? Okay, at this time I'm going to go ahead and close public comment.
Wait.
What? Oh, I'm sorry. You still want to come up? Okay, I'm sorry. Mr. Merrill, how are you doing? Good, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Marv Merrill, 581 Crystal Drive. First, let me comment about the financial numbers I just saw, which were a little discouraging. But on the other hand, I've been here 40 years, and we've never had a better financial guy than the one you've got now, so that certainly is a positive. I'd like to comment about the referendum yesterday. We would have had a yes vote on that if probably a dozen of us didn't get out and go door to door with leaflets and put up signs around vote no. You know, if you read the referendum, it starts out by saying right away, supermajority vote required for sale of real property. You know, that statement sounds like, oh boy, they're going to strengthen up the sale of city property. Instead, you were going just the opposite direction. You were taking this authority away from the citizens who, according to the charter, would have had to vote for property sales. And the way you worded it, you didn't tell the people that. It's in the charter, and there aren't 100 people in Madeira Beach that's ever read the charter. So to me, you were very deceiving the way you put this together. You knew what you were doing. You knew you were going to fake this thing through, and the citizens wouldn't know what they were voting for. So I really think you should all be embarrassed to put the referendum in front of the citizens. Put a referendum in front of the citizens, so deceiving. And by the way, these are the same people that voted all of you in office. And you turn around and pull something like this, trying to sneak this through. That charter has been in effect for 50 years. Now, why all of a sudden, boy, we've got to have a referendum? It just wasn't right. And even if it had, one of the reasons I voted against it, because I have no confidence in the business sense of this commission. Some of the things you've done is unbelievable. Now, we've got a city manager that I'm told is a good city manager. But can you imagine, 2 years ago, this commission voted him 7 weeks vacation a year. 7 weeks. Anybody out here get 7 weeks vacation a year? 7 weeks vacation a year. And not only that, if he doesn't use the 7 weeks, he can turn them back in at $1,000, $3,000 a week. I'll tell you, I have more to say, but you should be embarrassed. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Miller. Mr. Shaw.
My name is Robert Shaw. I live at 507 129th Avenue in Madeira Beach. I listened to my friend Marv Merrill speak, and I think it's good to remind people that what we have is a representative form of government. We can go to a referendum form of government, but we would never get our electric bill paid. We would never get our streets paved. We would be tied up constantly by referendum votes in order to get everything done. So what we are saying is we either trust this commission, which we elected democratically, or we don't trust them. And I, for one, trust them. If they fail me, I have recourse, and that is the next election, to replace them with somebody I feel is better worth my trust. I trust this board. I understand that in order to get things done, you can't wait for the people through referendum vote to decide issues. So there's a reason for what you were trying to do. I don't feel your confidence in us was misplaced. I think that maybe people didn't understand what was at stake. And I think somebody has to defend what you were trying to do. I know what your intentions were, and I agree with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Would anybody else? Ms. Moore?
Doreen Moore, 13019 Boca Ciega Avenue. Echoing some comments that were made earlier, I've been a resident here for over 30 years, and I too am extremely disappointed in the commission and the reactions and how you handled this. I think it was crafted to deceive. It was not clear, and I take exception with our city manager having stated in the newspaper that where were we all last summer when you all did the first and second reading? And you did the first and second reading with the intention, I was told, that you were going to help educate the residents. I understand the reasoning behind why you wanted the referendum. Intentions may be good. But the way it was written, the way it was sent out under the radar, have there been any news reports? Has the Beacon paper covered this? Has the Tampa Bay Times covered any of this? This is an important issue with our city, and you all haven't given any information to the press to bring out. They publish what you give them. There's been no education process. It hasn't been brought to the people. So when we get the ballot in the mail and suddenly find out that it is deceptively worded, we didn't have an opportunity. It was too late. So I do beg to differ with the city manager that we were given an opportunity to understand what it was you were trying to accomplish. And I also agree with Mr. Shaw. It is a representative form of government, and the disappointment that the people are going to have in this commission is going to show when everyone gets out to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd. And just on the city's behalf, we did notify to have an educational meeting. I sat up here in this meeting, there was not one person to show up. I think the city went out there to educate people on it. Was the language confusing? I gotta admit, after talking to some people, it was confusing, but we were doing meetings to go ahead and educate everybody. No one showed. So, I mean, on the behalf of the city and to the city manager and his staff, I know they got out there to educate everybody and the city attorney. Would anybody else like to make public comment? Mr. Trout. If you want to speak, come to the podium, please.
My name's Pete Trott, and I live at 378 145th. I'd like to commend the population of the residency for, when they didn't understand it, not approving it. I don't know whether they, whoever wrote it, I'm not too sure. The bottom line, I think the residents of the town were well to pass it on. You can do it again, whatever. I'm not saying anything, anybody was trying to pull anything. However, you may not be you guys sitting here. 5 years from now, I'm probably going to be dead, but somebody else is going to be sitting there. And what you're doing is giving somebody that isn't even here yet the ability to do what may be not beneficial. You may be up on a board, but you may not be the ones that are doing the things 10 years from now, 15 years from now, and it doesn't die. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to make a comment? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Renee Krupp, 225 Boca Ciega Drive. Compared to most of the people here, I'm relatively new to this community. Do I have to start again, or am I good enough? My name is Renee Krupp, 225 Boca Ciega Drive. I've been here about 8 years, so I'm new to this process compared to a lot of people. However, as a 40-year school administrator and school teacher, I take exception with your last remark where you said you had one educational meeting and nobody came. It's incumbent on you to make that happen. If you provided a meeting and no one came, obviously it wasn't out there enough, it was out there in the wrong spot, it wasn't out there in a timely manner, it was at an inconvenient time, but it's on you to provide a forum for us to show up in. And to say you had one meeting and nobody came, wow, let's do what we want, that does not exactly work. And when people say, I don't know, I guess I'll just let that go. So anyway, I would really like more of an effort. I'm a technology person, I read the newspapers, and there's not coming through. You are not getting out on the web, you are not putting stuff out there in the newspapers. It is not readily available what is going on. And so if people want to participate, you guys make it pretty hard. We have to dig and root and spend a lot of time calling down here. You call, you get one person, you're passed to another, you go onto a voicemail for somebody else. It's very difficult to call anybody and actually have a human being pick up the phone. You mostly go to voicemail. I'm not talking maybe the first one, you might get a person, but then when you go to the next one, more often than not, you are going to voicemail. It's very difficult to do business with this organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Would anybody else like to speak this evening? All right, closing public comment. Next, consent agenda. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I so move, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. City Manager, is there any comments from staff?
The only staff recommendation is for approval. Item number one is the annual amount we spend on our fireworks show. We have $26,000 budgeted. Again, we've received a gracious donation from our anonymous donator for a $5,000 check to cover the cost of the barge, so we can spend $26,000 on fireworks instead of 21. The show this year will be approximately 21 to 22 minutes instead of 30 to 32 minutes. So it'll be a relatively intense show, peter off in the middle, and then another intense finale. So and that's the feedback that we had received from the constituency last year. And then secondly, it's just the annual amount that we spend on our Christmas ornaments on the streets. The only reason why I bring that up is during the undergrounding project, it's very possible that between doing the undergrounding and paving and everything, that there may be a section of town that doesn't get their Christmas decorations because the poles will be down or whatever, but we'll try to be out of there before Christmas.
All right, thank you, Mr. City Manager. Is there any further comment? Would the city clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Poe?
Yes.
Mayor Palladino?
Yes.
Commissioner Lister?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges? Yes. Commissioner Shantz?
Yes.
All right, contracts and agreements, none. Unfinished business, none. New business, authorization of governmental money purchase plan and trust adoption agreement with ICMA Retirement Corporation. Mr. City Manager, do you want to hand that off to the Finance Director?
Please, Mr. Mayor.
This item is intended to satisfy a new IRS requirement with respect to the city's retirement plan. Previously, the city was allowed to essentially adopt its plan by only selecting the specific benefits and specific rates that did not apply to the city from ICMA's template, if you will, of benefit structure. The IRS is instead requiring now that we formally re-adopt that document to specifically include all of the items that actually pertain to the city. Your agenda packets include the specific rates and the two different plans that are managed by the city. There's one for the city manager, one for the rest of city staff. So essentially, I'm asking that we go ahead and take the action tonight to re-adopt the plan because we need to meet the IRS deadline requirement of April 30th. But in the meantime, I do recommend, assuming that you do approve this tonight, I do recommend that we bring it back for a workshop discussion to reevaluate the plan. There's at least one concern I would like to share with the board, and to my knowledge, I don't know that the plan has been formally evaluated in some time. So with that said, I would recommend approval at this point.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
I so move, Mr. Mayor.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any comments from staff, Mr. City Manager?
Recommendations for approval as the Finance Director stated.
All right. Is there any further comments? Would the city clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Palladino?
Yes.
Commissioner Shantz?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges? Yes. Commissioner Lister?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Poe?
Yes.
All right. Next, ordinance 2015-18. Mr. City Attorney, please read by title only.
Mr. Mayor, ordinance 2015-18, an ordinance of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, rezoning certain rural property generally described as 555 150th Avenue and 565 150th Avenue from Marine Commercial C4 to Planned Development PD District, providing for reading by title only and providing for an effective date hereof. That was a reading of ordinance 2015-18 by title only.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that this commission pass ordinance 2015-18 on first reading.
Second.
I have a motion.
Oh, she got it, okay.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. City Attorney, do you want to take over this time for a public hearing?
Thank you, Mayor. Since this is a quasi-judicial proceeding, I'm going to basically go through a process that is a little bit more rigid than what you're normally used to, and it's solely for the reason of possible challenge to the action that you're taking tonight. So I want to make sure that we dot all the I's and cross all the T's. So we're going to follow the code technically word for word First of all, I want to tell you, or give you a summary of the project. And I'm taking this from the Planning Commission summary, and that is that the applicants are seeking to rezone 4.59 acres that are located on the southeast side of 150th Avenue, Tom Stewart Causeway, just south of the bridge, from C4 Marine Commercial to PD Planned Development. This request is for the development of a mixed-use project that will include 325 hotel/condominium hotel units, 68 condominium units, and a 200-seat restaurant and a marina. The standards to be applied to the evidence that you received today are the standards set forth in Section 110-391 and 110-393. All of those standards and criteria will be reviewed by the applicant and city staff. The burden of proof pursuant to Section 2-10A of the code is the greater weight of the evidence. The parties are as follows: applicant C&T Enterprises, Inc. and MHH Enterprises, Inc. and the city. The city had received 3 notices of intent to become parties, one from Peter Trott that was received on March 11th, one from John Lippa that was received on March 11th, and one from William Gay that was received on March 11th. Pursuant to your code, Section 2-7A and Section 1-2, these notices were not filed timely, and so they will not be considered parties for tonight's meeting. The presentation will be the applicant first, then the city, then persons who are not parties, such as others in the audience that want to speak, rebuttal by the applicant, rebuttal by the city, summary by the applicant, and summary by the city. And at this time, I need to read into evidence all the ex parte communications filed with the city, and they are numerous, and it may take 20 or 30 minutes to read them, so sit back and relax, and let me just read them word for word. There are several sets of ex parte communications. The first are emails from residents, and this is specifically just for this project, Holiday Isles. And I'm going to read them from the oldest to the newest, starting December 10th. The first one is from Ron and Liz Brazeau. It's dated December 10th, 3:54 p.m. Dear Mr. Mayor Travis Palladino and City Manager Shane Crawford, as concerned 19-year residents of Madeira Beach, I was really surprised to see the development package for Holiday Isle Marina come through so quickly without any input from your city residents. Although I'm not opposed to the development in the city, as I believe that the current administration has been doing a fantastic job in promoting and developing the city. However, it appears that this project seems to be being pushed along, especially at a time when a lot of the residents will be off visiting family and friends for the holidays and will be unable to attend the meetings or information night. Also of concern is that the city has decided to deviate from its original plan of its height restriction by allowing 10-story buildings to be constructed. This is surely going to change Madeira Beach to the point that we will start looking just like other cities up and down the beach. We have a very unique city in Madeira Beach. Another point that I would like addressed is how the city and the county are going to handle additional traffic loads. As you are all aware of the huge backups we endure now during season. This will sure complicate things even more than they are now, and we have not seen any plans for congestion relief, and I am aware of, or any other traffic studies. I think that what I am asking, and I am sure many other residents will also ask, is that the city hold meetings with the residents after the holidays when we are able to participate and convey our concerns. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Crawford and Planning Commission. And again, it was signed by Ron and Liz Brazeau. The next email is on December the 10th, 5:33 p.m. It's an email from Cheryl Roddy, and it's to the Commission, Planning Commission. It says, good evening, Planning Commission members. The first draft of development agreement of the Holiday Isle Marina project is currently online, along with a public notice. You'll be receiving your packets Monday the 14th. Included in the packets will be the development agreement. If you have additional questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me. Next is an email from your city manager dated December 10th. It's references development agreement. And it reads, Planning Commission members and BOC members, there are a lot of rumors and misconceptions about the beginning, note this word, process for the old Leverock site and potential development. First of all, there is a misconception that it is being railroaded through. This is not true. Everything is a process oriented, and this is no different. On Monday night, the Planning Commission will consider rezone the property in the first reading of the first version of the development agreement. On Tuesday night, the BOC will only take into consideration the rezone. The reason for the need to rezone is because the developer will not spend any money on architecture or engineering or work with FDOT or SwiftMud without knowing that rezone will occur. This would be like any one of us paying an architect to design a very specific house in a very specific lot of land that you haven't closed on yet. So the rezone gives the developer and the city the ultimate flexibility in developing a piece of property that is sure to bring significant revenue tax base to the city. The rezone doesn't give the green light for the development. The green light is when the development agreement is finalized and voted upon by the BOC. The rumors that the roads in the city itself is not adequate to handle this development are simply not true. The developer will be charged to work with the FDOT and local landowners to create frontage roads to access traffic issues. I will be speaking with the chairman of the Planning Commission tomorrow about the entire issue, but rest assured, this issue will involve several lengthy meetings that the public may and is encouraged to attend. This won't be complete in January. This will be a several-month process, but we want to move it on as expeditiously but as responsibly as we can. Heck, the Barefoot Beach expansion took months and months. The Leverock's development is a potential $80 million development. I spoke to a BOC member about this issue and suggested the BOC workshops. I would advise that the BOC members attend the Planning Commission, listen and not participate, and you will see how I will recommend we proceed. Both commissions can go along with my recommendation, or you both can go whichever route you'd like. That being said, the agreement won't be finalized for several meetings. What is being taken up by the Planning Commission on Monday is an apples and oranges comparison to what the BOC is taking up on Tuesday. If you get a concerned citizen, forward them or this email, or please have them contact my office. This is a classy and quality development. This is going to involve a ton of work and lots of concentration. I've been personally working on this for 4 years, and staff and I have really ramped it up in the last 6 months. What they're applying for is a doable and allowable by code. However, you are the policy decision-making body. You are in charge. I'm infamous for analogies, and I won't spare you on this one, so here it goes. It was a ball of clay. Staff and I molded it into something that was allowable, and now you can put the finishing touches on it or step on it and tell me to start over. I will be meeting with the developer's agent tomorrow to get 3D models and imaging ready for you all. The development agreement went on the website when we posted it in the newspaper. In error, it wasn't sent to you all, but since it has been posted, edits have been made by both sides, and so I can't really say it was an error because we knew that there would be edits. Call me with any questions or concerns. Remember, development isn't a 4-letter word. However, it has to fit, it has to make sense, and it needs to fit Madeira Beach. Don't let the numbers or the pictures scare you until you've seen the entire package and understand the entire process. Also, remember the alternatives. Instead of quality hotel and a nice restaurant and condo hotels, this could be a Super Target or Sam's Club. Also remember that if you're concerned, AV corridors, more often than not, tall and skinny is better than short and wide. Just take look at our neighbors to the south and that development down there. So the alternatives are usually scarier than what is being applied for. My final thought is this. The Plan Commission does a very diligent job to make a recommendation to the BOC. They do their homework. As for the BOC, this is an opportunity that you have been waiting almost 2 decades for, but you are steering the ship. You get to say yes or no or change it up, and I can assist on any of those options. So keep your chin up, refer excited or upset constituents to me, and have fun with this. This is the most exciting time to be part of something in Madeira Beach in a long time. Cities across the state and the county yearn for development options like this. You have the tools to mold this ball of clay into something that fits your city perfectly, so rest assured that nothing will happen too quickly or without careful consideration. The next email is from the city manager to the Planning Commission. Actually, it's to Ron and Liz. I thought, yeah, and CC to the Planning Commission. Please see an email I sent to the Planning Commission, the Board of Commissioners. There are simply a lot of misconceptions out there. This will be anything but a quick process. These types of negotiations takes months and plenty of public meetings. Rest assured that everything here is a process and won't be pushed through. $80 million deals have a ridiculous amount of details, and the devil is always in those details, so we spend an extraordinary amount of time on them. Please contact me with questions or concerns, and please attend the Planning Commission on Monday the 21st. They're not all that long, by the way. The next one is December 11th. It is from someone shown as a name of David, and his email address is frog3@tampabayrr.com. It's addressed to the mayor. The subject is Snug Harbor. Travis, my concern is that another 573 parking spots we at Snug Harbor to go west must do a U-turn around in the marina, and with all extra traffic, the median in front has to go or stoplight at the main entrance with a left turn lane would be an idea. Thanks, David. There was no punctuation. I didn't read it like that. It was just no punctuation, so. The next one is December 11th. It's from Barb and Joe Martin. It says, approximately 2 years ago, the mayor and the city manager attended a social function at our condominium association. At that time, the mayor commented on the hopeful plans for the development of the property adjoining the city of Madeira Beach Marina and assured us that nothing would be done without involvement of the residents of Madeira Beach. My wife and I are most amazed at the sudden rush to get rezoning legislation passed so that this project can move forward. Oh yes, there are meetings planned, a notification has been published, but public meetings seem conveniently planned in the week before Christmas, when many property owners are either busy with Christmas plans, traveling, or snowbirds have not even arrived as of yet. Was the selection of dates an oversight by the responsible parties? It's our request that the public meetings be delayed to more suitable dates in January so that we and many, many others have the opportunity to voice our concerns. The city manager responded on December 11th. Barb and Joe, I'm going to forward an email I sent out to the Board of Commissioners and the Planning Commission. Nothing is being rushed. This will take months and months to achieve. If the board even wants to move forward, there are a lot of rumors floating around out there, and they're simply not true. See follow-up email. And then there was another same form letter as the Barb and Joe Martin letter dated, or email dated December 11th. This one is from Tony Lant. It says the exact same thing as the prior email. Next is December 10th. It's from Ron Brazeau. It's to Larry. Hi, Larry. Let me know what Mad Cove's thoughts are on this. I will send you whatever more information I get. We are all going to draft our own letters to the city powers on this and may have our lawyer send one also. Next is an email from on December 11th. It's from Larry Rolofs. Hi, all owners. The City of Little Rock's restaurant property is being proposed for new development. The development being proposed is an overkill and will result in too much traffic and congestion. Please take the time to review the attachments to learn of this development. Our neighbors at Snug Harbor provided these attachments from City Hall. Our city commissioners and planning commission are evaluating this proposal and have put it on the fast track. It is our opinion of your board that we must let our city officials know that we strongly object to this overkill proposal. See fourth attachment for artist view. As you will read, this plan calls for buildings over 10 stories in height, buildings that will contain a 175-unit hotel, 150-unit condo hotel, 3 condo association buildings containing 68 units each, a 200-seat restaurant, a marina, and parking for 573 vehicles. This amount of density will surely overcrowd 150th Avenue and have serious impact on our sewer and water systems. One of the attachments has our city officials' contact information. We urge you to take the time to send an email to those officials letting them know how strongly we object to this proposal. We're not opposed to the development of the old Everock's property because it currently is an eyesore, but this particular proposal is overkill and needs to be scaled down. Building height should not exceed the height of Snug Harbor buildings. As you know, we often invite our mayor and city manager to Madeira Cove so they can update us on city developments. We have a great relationship with our city officials, and if one commissioner is strongly opposed to this development, our VP, John Lipa, has already called our mayor and expressed our strong objections to this project. We need to follow John's call with lots of emails, so take the time before it's too late, and we find ourselves not being able to get 150th Avenue due to congestion. Next email is dated December 11th. It's from John Lipa. It says, today's Tampa Bay Times has a big story on the front page about the planned development of Madeira Beach. Besides the Leverock property development with 2 hotels, 117 feet tall, 325 rooms, 68 residential unit condos, and a 200-seat restaurant and a condo hotel and 154 boat slips worth $80 million, there is a major development, 80 to 100 million, planned development for Madeira Way, with at least 2 hotels, retail space, and restaurants. Plus, the Winn-Dixie is considered rebuilding Gulf Boulevard and may include a garage parking. At the developers building the developers planning a hotel in Johns Pass are closer to getting financing, and the Barefoot Beach Hotel in Gulf Boulevard will add 43 rooms. Last week, Paul Skipper, the owner of the strip mall where Madeira Beach Printing is located, and the vacant lot behind it, which abuts our property, had all the tree trimmed. He has not done this for 5 years. The strip mall is also for sale. The city manager is saying development needs to be embraced in order to keep taxes down. Developers are saying zoning changes are enabling development. The good news, our taxes should stay low. Bad news, lots more congestion, and the skyscape will drastically change. Access and egress to our homes from 150th Avenue have to be made a major issue. Traffic on 150th Avenue will be very heavy almost all the time, and exceptionally heavy during peak tour season. Please make your voices known. Please attend the planned meeting, especially the one on December 14 at City Hall. Next is an email from Karen Miller. It's to John and Leary. It's dated December 11th. Thank you for your emails. I was somewhat saddened this morning upon reading the paper regarding this vision for the city of Madeira Beach. As a lifelong resident of Pinellas County, I've seen many changes over the years to our beaches and beach towns, and sadly, they were not all for the better. In fact, Gordon and I remember the natural beauty of Sand Key and Clearwater Beach before they developed it into endless rows of high-rise condominiums and hotels. You are correct in that this recent set of plans for Madeira Beach will add more congestion and take away from the small beach town atmosphere we now enjoy. Next is an email from Larry Roloffs. It's dated December 11th. Dear Mayor and City Manager, Commissioners and Planning Commission, I think it's appropriate for you to read the attached emails below so you can see and understand the feelings for many of the citizens of your city. As a whole, we have been very supportive of your outstanding efforts to improve our city. However, we do not have a good feeling regarding the proposed plan for the old Leverocks property. You will most likely see a groundswell regarding the proposed massive overdevelopment of the Leverocks property, and will most likely see this firsthand at future city meetings. The immediate schedule of city meetings set for this month are also a concern to many of us, wondering why so many meetings are scheduled in such a short period of time during the holiday season. It can lead one to think that the Holiday Isle project is being fast-tracked in order to get it passed, even though some of us understand that the approval process may take many months. We urge the city officials to keep their previous commitments regarding the height of new buildings, of keeping them to a reasonable 4 or 5 stories. 10-story structures are strongly opposed by many of us. We have witnessed the explosion in Sand Key and other areas of Clearwater Beach. This is not in keeping with our city of Madeira Beach. We want to keep our city 2 miles long and smile wide. Please don't lose the smile wide. Next is an email from Chelsea Nelson. It's dated December 11th. It's directed to Commissioner Shantz. This email is in response to an email I received this morning about the development of the former Leverocks property. From my understanding, the developers are looking to build significantly sized condo hotel property with a marina and restaurants and are seeking approval for a change in the zoning rules as of this month. I definitely feel that decision is being rushed. This is the first I've heard of it. and I know many of my neighbors have not heard about it at all. From what I know so far, it seems that this particular development will have a profound impact on our community, as well as set a precedent for the kind of development Madeira Beach will condone for future projects. I don't want to turn it into Sand Key or Clearwater Beach, where you can barely see the sun because the condos are so high, or get across the bridge because the traffic is backed up for miles. No, thank you. I'm definitely excited to see this site development and to see Madeira Beach progress into the best city it can be, but I also don't want to lose our character and charm that make us who we are. The residents need more information and have to have our concerns and opinions heard on this matter, especially if the developers are looking to build outside our current codes. From the way this project is being presented, or rather not being presented to the public, worries me. It's a feeling of not being on the up and up when we find out approval is set to be discussed so quickly and during the busy holiday season. Why can't this wait and have more public notice about the hearings? Why is the December 17th meeting for the property owners within 200 feet when no one even lives within 200 feet? That doesn't sit right. Please let me know what meetings are eligible to attend, because you can bet we want to be there and have our voices heard. Next is another email from John Lippa. It's dated December 11th. It's directed to the commissioners and the Planning Commission as well. Dear Mayor, City Manager, Commissioners, and Planning Commission, I'm writing to share some of my thoughts, feelings about the development proposal under consideration. Because of the timing of the public meetings, which I, like many, will not attend, I do not have planned to attend the relevant meetings in 2016. Thank you for your service. Madeira Beach has a renewed sense of pride and vigor because of the decisions who have made. Madeira Beach is unique. It has retained a feel, is appealing to its residents and visitors. It's appealing to developers because we have properties that are available and could stand updating. There are lots of projects in the wind with lots of buzz about the dollars that could be invested in our city. The scope and size of these projects are so newsworthy, they made the front page of both the Tampa Bay Times and the Beach Beacon. As you begin your deliberations, we ask that you begin with not just the development package before you, but with a vision of the city in mind. What kind of city do you want Madeira Beach to be? Is it one that is spurred by excitement and promise of investment dollars, or is it one that is spurred by the look, feel, and vibe that we want for our city and our residents? If we begin with the end in mind, then 10 or 20 years from now, we can all say that this is the city that we wanted, so please begin with the end in mind. I live on 150th Avenue. Most of my friends and neighbors also live on 150th Avenue at Madeira Cove, Boca Vista, or Snug Harbor. We want to see the city move forward, but many have concerns about all the development in this corridor, 150th Avenue, Madeira Way. 150th Avenue is our neighborhood. If these developments were taking place in your neighborhood, no, you would have similar concerns. Many of the concerns are, how will it affect our quality of life? How will we be able to gain access to our homes from 150th? How do we get on to 150th with sizable projected increase in vehicle traffic from the Holton property project? We don't even know what the additional impact will be from the proposed development on Madeira Way. We understand developers are all about making money. The density of the Holton project seems ambitious and excessive. It will drastically alter our city. Is this the vision for Madeira Beach? There is proposed something approaching 700 door between hotel, condo, and condominiums. These 700 doors equate to at least 1,400 people. A 200-seat restaurant with a conservative 5 turns of the tables equals to at least 1,000 people. Is this our end vision for the city? Our 10-story buildings, our end vision? Why does the city need an amphitheater? We have great entertainment venue at City Hall. Again, what is our end vision for our city? Again, thank you for your service. Please take time to create, or better still, articulate the vision you have for a wonderful city. Please begin with the end in mind. Let's move forward with decisions and support a vision we can all embrace and call our own. Also, please remember 150th Avenue is more than an access road to the beach in Johns Pass. It is a neighborhood. Next is an email from Josephine Pugliese, December 13th. Dear gentlemen, by the way, it's directed to the city manager and the mayor. CC'd a number of individuals. I would like to voice my objection and opinion on the new Leverock's property on the Horton project. This seems a little over the top. I feel it is going to harm the community, not help. We may need the tax revenue, but building this amount of residential housing, which will house 393 people on this amount of acreage, is going to cause more traffic difficulties, especially on Tom Stewart Bridge. We do not need another condo hotel. I think this is obvious. Do we need another hotel when one is scheduled for John's Pass? We are bursting at the seams now. Look at the corner of Gulf Boulevard and Bocasiega Avenue, 7 homes. Why not build a restaurant on the beach at 141st as planned? I also highly object to the thought and approval of over 5 stories high. Don't turn our paradise into another Clearwater. I am all for tax revenue, but let's not forget why people come to Madeira Beach. Paradise. Thank you for your time. Next is from Lynn Rappa. It's dated December 13th. It's directed to the City Commission and some of the planning board members. As a resident of Madeira Beach for over 30 years, I'm disappointed in the city officials to fast-track the Holton property development on Tom Stewart Causeway. This development is far too dense for this small piece of property. We, the people of Madeira Beach, had decided many years ago that we wanted to limit the height of buildings in our community to 5 stories. These buildings are overkill. The city officials should be taking into consideration the traffic that this will cause on the causeway and how difficult it will be for the condo owners who live on 150th Avenue to enter and leave their property. This will be a very dangerous situation for not only the condo owners, but all the cars that use the causeway. Holton Properties well knew the zoning when they purchased the property, and they should be advised to develop the property under the current zoning. Madeira Beach residents do not wish our community to turn into Clearwater Beach or Miami Beach. Please reconsider the dates of your meetings in order for all of our out-of-town owners to be able to attend the meetings. Next is an email from Richard Wolf. It's dated December 14th. It's addressed to the Board of Commissioners and others. It reads, Dear Sir, Madam, my wife and I are in the process of purchasing a property located at 401 150th Avenue, apartment 274, Madeira Beach, Florida. One of the reasons that we were interested in this property was due to the small community feel in the area. We also like the progress the community was making towards the controlled new development and upgrades to community facilities. The current zoning regulations support this pattern of controlled growth. We have read that the owner of the Holton property, Holiday Isle Marina, is seeking a variance for the property in order to build a major development, as the current zoning does not allow this extreme density for the property. We oppose the granting of this variance and feel that this is an overreach by the developer. We are not opposed to the development and believe that the developer should conform to the existing zoning regulations. The proposal is too much, too fast, and the infrastructure of the surrounding community would not be able to handle the extreme density or the current plan or proposal. Perhaps the scaled-down version might be beneficial to the city of Madeira Beach and its residents. If this rezoning and development goes through as planned, any effects will be irreversible. We understand that as of this writing of this message, we may not have any standing, but any decision made will affect us in the future. Next is an email from Diane Ray dated December 14th. It's addressed to the commission and some of the planning commission members. Madeira Beach team, I strongly oppose the proposed development of the Holton property as it stands. The population density is too high. We certainly don't need another condo hotel or a 10-story hotel. I don't object to a low-rise hotel or condos with a lower occupancy. Let's keep more green space and limit traffic. What a traffic nightmare the proposed building would create on the causeway, plus losing the waterfront views and the hometown feeling of Madeira Beach will look like another Clearwater Beach, way too much commercial. Next is an email from John Petro. It's dated December 14th. It's directed to the mayor and a couple of others. We would like to voice my objections and opinion on the Leverock Holiday Isle Marine project. The project is too large. Why would we want to be looking at a 10-story hotel condo building? Why would we want to put more traffic directly into Tom Stewart Causeway? Entering, exiting the town over the bridge can be hard enough now, especially when the school is in session or the bridge is up. Why would we want to allow a project of over 600,000 square feet in the midst of a small, beautiful town? Is this a quest for tax revenue going to allow the ruination of the little paradise we all enjoy as residents? We are not against developing the property. We're not against a hotel, condo, restaurant being placed on the property. We're not against extra tax revenue being generated for the town. We are against the size and scope of the project. Please scale it back. Please generate a plan to control the traffic on the Tom Stewart Causeway and plan to maintain the beauty of the area. Thank you, John and Miriam Petro. Next is an email from Suzanne Poole and George Barczyk, stated December 14th. It's directed to the mayor. We are reaching out to you to comment on the proposed holiday development. When we were looking for a home on the Gulf Coast of Florida a number of years ago, we considered many communities. We had rented for years in Indian Shores and Indian Rocks, but when it came time to buy, we purchased in Madeira Beach. We found this to be a unique and lovely area. We were particularly impressed with the easy access of both the lovely beach and more inland destinations by way of the Tom Stewart Causeway. We were and are willing to put up with the occasional delay caused by the raising of the bridge because the traffic was never too overwhelming. Now we see that your proposal is going to transform our special community and not in a good way. We finally understand that this location is ripe for some kind of development. It would not be reaching out to you if that development was both reasonable and in keeping with the rest of Madeira Beach. But now we see that the project is overkill, both in terms of number of buildings and the proposed height. And particularly, the proposed 10-story buildings are in no way aligned with the rest of the development of Madeira Beach. When the bridge is up, traffic already backs up to Gulf on one side, at times making it impossible for us to turn into Snug Harbor driveway when returning home from the east. Traffic also backs up on the egress and the Madeira Beach School right away on to Doomy Road and beyond. With your proposal, traffic is going to be forced at times into the Gulf Boulevard, inconveniencing those trying to just go north and south on Gulf, as well as right into Doomy. It seems obvious even to the most casual observer that this amount of development is not sustained or supported by our current infrastructure. For those of us who live at Snug Harbor, we already cannot go west 150th without turning east from our entrance, then turning right into the marina, only to do a U-turn in their parking lot so that we can legally make a left turn through the gap in the median and head west at last. Coming from the east, we need to make a U-turn through the median gap just west of our entrance and immediately turn right into our building. Both of these maneuvers already take skill, depth, and perception and timing. Doubling the amount of traffic on 150th will add both inconvenience and danger. We also wonder at the speed with which the transformational project is handled. It seems that you do not want to allow time to hear from your current citizens. We have always felt that those running Madeira Beach had our best interests at heart. We are disillusioned and discouraged by this proposal and the speed at which it is being handled. We hope that you will take our feedback into consideration. We know that we are not only the only ones shocked and concerned by this proposed project and the speed at which it is being rushed through. We also wonder how many affected citizens don't even know as of yet that it's happening, given this busy holiday time of the year. Next is an email from Tim Jacks. Tim and Diane, stated December 14th. Folks, as new owners of Madeira Beach, we are very concerned with the development proposal for the Holton property and Tom Stewart Causeway. When we began our search for a home, we looked from St. Pete to Clearwater and specifically chose Madeira Beach because of the overdevelopment of the other adjacent communities. I ask that when you consider the proposed development of this property, you limit it to match the community we live in. I believe if this is about protecting the tax base, your current residents would rather have a tax increase than to see us start to move in a direction of Clearwater or St. Peter. Once you open the door for one development, you open it for all, and there's no going back. We used to visit Clearwater on an annual basis before it was overdeveloped, and now I would have zero interest in going there as it looks like Vegas. I ask, does this really fit the unique character of Madeira Beach? I do not see how this development fits into this. Next is from Judy Taggart, December 15th. It's addressed to the Commission and the Planning Commission. We are against the development of the buildings over 4 or 5 levels. I am for all planned development, but not for a project like this. Then another project in the works on the opposite side of 150th. Our corridor in and out of our city will be snarled traffic year-round instead of part of the year. I do not think the grocery stores here are able to handle the potential increase in population. I do not think our emergency services are able to handle this demand. We do not think Holiday Isle project or the Carnes project is in the best interest of Madeira Beach. 10-story buildings do not fit here. I do not understand. I do understand that these projects would bring a lot of revenue to the city, but at a very high price. Next is from Tim Paddock, it's dated December 16th. Dear Commissioner Shantz, we are 3-year residents of Madeira Beach, having drawn to the nature, beauty, and activities of the area and the friendly people that enjoy the same. Although the city expenditures to improve the government office and services have been well received and appreciated by many, the overreaching proposal of the so-called Holiday Isles Marina property leaves us troubled. We think that this development would be detrimental to the best qualities of Madeira Beach, and we wonder how this benefits the residents of the city. The recent Beach Beacon article quoted a city official with a favorable view of the project. It has a lot of money riding on it, and while we don't fault the official for seeking opportunities for the city, we would prefer the project instead to be viewed as having our community's quality of life riding on it. Has the traffic study been provided? Snug Harbor residents now resort to making a U-turn inside the marina entrance and then heading west. Bad enough now, but what a mess with several hundred more cars are added. How will we avoid the congestion that will undoubtedly occur both in and out of Tom Stewart Causeway? We doubt Madeira Beach residents are looking for a Clearwater experience to their daily commute or grocery store visit. Finally, we're disappointed at the timing of the discussion and decisions surrounding rezoning. The neighborhood meeting has been set for a time that will exclude working residents, and the rezoning meetings have been set for times in the midst of the holidays when many of our neighbors will be celebrating out of town. Is this fair to all, to allow discussion in our community? We trust that you will seriously reconsider rezoning decisions, since that they're intended to keep overreaching development in check. Next is an email from Kathleen Harity, dated December 16th. As Florida and Madeira Beach residents, we are concerned with the size and scope of the proposed project. With 150th Avenue is the main artery east and west through Madeira Beach, but it already has plenty of traffic. Non-season and soon seasonal will be here. It cannot sustain additional traffic with a new venture. This place will be like Clearwater, clogged up. Please do not ruin Madeira Beach. Next is an email dated December 16th from Art Minion. Dear Mr. Mayor, last week we were having dinner with a group of our friends and spouses. During the dinner, we all agreed that Madeira Beach was a wonderful place to live. When the conversation moved to what was it about Madeira Beach that we liked the most, we all agreed that once we crossed over the Tom Stewart's Causeway, that there was a sense of calm that overcame us. Gone is the heavy traffic and the 6-lane roadways of Largo and Seminole, and we were in our favorite village by the sea. We were home. I am concerned that the proposed addition to the 10-story buildings on the Holton property or anywhere west of the Causeway will totally change the character of our beloved city, and that would be a real shame. Next is from Stella and Bill Mansfield on December 16th. We would like to voice our objections and opinion about the development on the property located in the east of Madeira Beach Marina on Tom Stewart Causeway, Holiday Isle Marina project. While we are very excited about the proposed development, we feel that it needs to be scaled back. We are not against developing the property with a hotel, condos, and a restaurant. We certainly are not against the extra tax revenue being generated for the town. Some of the things that we are concerned about is that it will result in too much traffic and congestion. Why would you want to put more traffic directly in Tom Stewart Causeway? When exiting Madeira Beach over the bridge, it's hard enough now, especially during the tourist season. School is in session and the bridge is up. This amount of density will also have a serious impact on our sewer and water systems. Next is an email from Richard McKenna dated December 17th. Doesn't appear that this has been well discerned, or a better decision to scale back on the project would have been discussed. Also, the timing of these meetings is quite unusual in late December. Why wasn't it brought to awareness much earlier in the year? This poor job of communicating has been exhibited. Next is an email of December 16th from Ed and Bonnie Ayers. Travis and Shane, you are two of the most dynamic governmental leaders that I know of at any level. You have certainly made improvements in Madeira Beach, but now I feel you have overdone it. I'm sure you consider it quite a coup to have brought an $80 million project and stuffed it into about 4.5 acres that seriously needed improvement. Many cities would be overjoyed to accomplish that feat, but you are ignoring several negative results that will spring from the completion of this project. Most of the flagrant negatives is the effect the project will have on traffic flow or lack of flow along 150th Avenue. Jamming a 175-room hotel, a hotel of 150 condo units, a residential condo of 68 units, and a 200-seat restaurant into the property that in the near past was supported only by a decent-sized restaurant means adding a traffic load to 150th Avenue roughly equal to the load it carries now. And keep in mind, local traffic is complicated by an active drawbridge that interrupts traffic frequently in a nearby school where hundreds of parents drive their kids to and from the school, and we are looking at regular bouts of gridlock. A second negative is a huge increase in the transients who will stay in the two hotels and probably rent their residential condo, which will completely change the tenor of the neighborhood, which is now made up of 3 medium-sized condos, which are overwhelmingly owner-occupied. And my third negative is that the project is over the top, filling a small piece of land with the short-term renters who will be more interested in partying than enjoying the peace and beauty of Madeira Beach, destroys earlier policies and statements concerning the objectives of development of Madeira Beach. I point you to the comprehensive plan of 2008, which stated our goals and objections as ensuring that residential, family, and beach community character of Madeira Beach must be maintained and protected, and that we must minimize hazards, nuisances, and incompatible land uses and environmental degradation, and further that we must allow new development and redevelopment that will enhance the city and protect the city's existing character. In Shane Crawford's own words, development needs to fit Madeira Beach. Next is from Danta Molino, December 20th. I am against the development of Holton project to the extent proposed. It is not in keeping with the spirit of Madeira Beach as a unique beach town without major commercialism. Don't ruin our town. Next is from Donna Abbott, December 21st. I was surprised that when I read the article in the Beach Beacon stating that the lack of attendance at a recent meeting regarding development of the above property, I was surprised that I had not heard of the meeting at all until that moment, and after looking into the matter, I became further concerned. A development of this size concerns all the citizens of the town. Holding meetings about such an important issue during the month of December, right before Christmas, automatically limits the attendance as many folks are either busy preparing for the holiday or traveling to be with family in other states. I sincerely hope that the reason for holding the odd timing was not to limit opposition. I have valid concerns about the proposed development and feel that the 10-story building should be out of question. Zoning laws should be upheld. Traffic in that area during the months of January through March is already so congested, and a building of that height has no place in our town. We must fill every inch of space with a high-rise. I know a traffic study was done in September, but our busy season does not even begin until November, and at its worst from January through March. We moved here for a reason. Please rethink this project. It's wrong for our town and can easily cause a multitude of problems for our citizens. Next is from Tom Boyer, dated December 21st. I'm a Madeira Beach voter. Slow this down and make sure it makes sense. Your job will on the line if it is a disaster. This is directed to the mayor, by the way. Just slow down and go about it in normal business. Rushing projects usually ends up being a disaster. When will a new bridge be built? This should be involved in the decision-making and approvals of large projects. Another email from Tom Boyer. This one's dated December 21st. You are out of line. I made no threat in my email at all. I was trying to point out our repercussions. Now you have me wondering what is really going on. I'm a resident who tried to point out the obvious. I think that you were threatening me. Do I knew to contact the police? I have owned Madeira Beach since 1982. There was never been any project this big. I feel I have the right and obligation to question you. Your attitude is uncalled for. Another email from Tom Boyer. I've been in Madeira Beach since 1982. I've never been involved or caused no trouble. I sent an email to Mr. Craw. Another one from Mr. Boyer. I've owned a Madeira Beach since 1982. I sent an email to Mr. Crawford, attached. Then he tried to intimidate me by claiming I threatened him. I hope only I pointed out the obvious. Call me, and he lists his phone number. Next is December 21st. It's from Florian Samala to Commissioner Shantz. Traffic now backs up along 150th Avenue when Tom Stewart Causeway Bridge is raised. With the density of this project, traffic will probably back up along Gulf Boulevard. Traffic is even heavier during school drop-off and pickup hours. Consider how this will negatively affect the safety of the residents during emergency evacuation order. Smaller hotels, such as the newly opened Marriott on American Legion Drive, make a profit, and it's expected smaller establishments on the Holton property will also make a profit. The Treasure Island City Commission recently faced a similar situation with a vacant beachfront property to the north of the Thunderbird, where a 5-story hotel is going up. The developers appealed to the TI Commission that building less than 7 stories would be to their detriment. The TI Commission disagreed and stuck with the city's 5-story limit and did not allow a variance. The developers are building a 5-star hotel. Madeira Beach also needs to stick to its guns and limit height of new buildings to 5 stories occupied plus an unoccupied ground floor. Madeira Beach development must be done responsibly. Next is an email from Teresa Sanchez and Maria Castillo. It's dated December 21st. Mayor Palladino, City Manager Crawford, Vice Mayor Poe, Commissioner Hodges, Commissioner Lister, Commissioner Shantz, Mr. Everett, Mr. Noble, Mr. Brown, Mr. Carr, Ms. Domingue, Mr. Lawrence, and Ms. Rasmussen. The undersigned, as owners of the condominium at Shores of Madeira, 15,400 Gulf Boulevard, Madeira Beach, Florida, would like to inform you of our disagreement with the development project rezoning the property known as the Holton property from Tom Stewart Causeway from C4 to PD plan development with a proposed building 3 condo buildings, 1 condo hotel, 1 hotel, restaurant, and parking for 570 cars, plus marina slips at the east of the property in addition to the existing covered marina slips. As you well know and experience, the traffic congestion now backs up 150th when the bridge is raised. With the density of this project, traffic will probably back up along Gulf Boulevard. Traffic is even heavier during school drop-off and pickup hours. Consider how this will negatively affect residents on their daily business and imagine during the emergency evacuation. The infrastructure as it is currently cannot handle the traffic that will come about during the proposed development. This quaint oceanside town will negatively be impacted by gridlock, turning it from picturesque haven to a noisy and chaotic town. Please listen to all the voices of all the concerned citizens of Madeira Beach and rethink the long-lasting impact that this will have on our wonderful seaside community and vote accordingly. Next is from Brenda Boyd, December 21st. Dear Madeira Beach City officials and Planning Commission, I recently moved to Madeira Beach for the funky charm and improvements being made by this beachside community. I really love the feeling of small town, and I've met a lot of nice people. I've watched Madeira Beach grow over the years and make improvements like updating the parking meters, improving the signage, and the new Civic Center. Part of the charm of Madeira Beach is the old Florida style. I feel it would be lost should the commissioners and planning commissioners allow for development on the Holton property. I would attend the meetings to be held early next week, except I'm out of town for the holidays, much like many other MB residents surely are. I encourage you to postpone the first readings of the zoning appeal and the commission readings until after the start of the year, when the more residents can participate in the democratic process enabling comment. Having 5 10-story buildings as a gateway to Madeira Beach is not the first impression that I would want to convey for our community, as I am not a fan of Clearwater Beach, partly why I chose to call Madeira Beach home, and am concerned about the aesthetics of the proposed buildings. It will also create a bottleneck on Tom Stewart Causeway with all of the traffic such a complex would bring with it. Many concerns surround the condo hotel and the hotel that are proposed. I'm not opposed to new development and was happy to see Beach Club of Madeira built in a place of the rundown Surfs Inn. At the same time, more reasonable schedule for comment and more reasonable development project should be considered for the gateway of our beautiful beaches. I understand the lure of the tax dollars and such development would bring the community. However, the community must weigh the impact it would have on our quality of life. Next is from Pat Biani from December 22nd. It's addressed to the mayor, the city manager, and the commissioners. My name is Pat Batanti. I am a board member of the Madeira Place Condominium Association. My wife and I have owned a condo at Madeira Beach for 15 years. We have loved living in this small, unique beach town. You are to be commended on the wonderful work that this council has done for the past 5 years. You have given us new and beautiful city hall. You, with the help of the sheriff department, have reduced the crime rate in our city and have resolved many other problems, short-term rentals, derelict boats, street flooding, etc. But we are very concerned with planned development on Holiday Isle Marina property. This development will create traffic nightmares on the Tom Stewart Causeway. My wife and most of the people have spoken strongly object to this development. Next is January 8th. It's an email from Tom Green. It's directed to the commission and the planning commission. To all, for 3 generations, my family's called Madeira Beach our winter home. We have maintained a home that goes back to 1937, paid taxes to support this beautiful city. Unfortunately, it's losing its charm and affordability with many families that love it so much. This proposed development project will destroy so much of what we are. Please do not approve this proposal. There are some things more important than the mighty dollar. Next is from Bob Barnett, dated January 8th. As a resident of Madeira Beach, I am writing to you as the Madeira Beach City Commission, asking you carefully consider the proposed usage of the Holton property and not approve plans as they are currently proposed. I have 2 objections of the plans I have seen. First, the height of the building, 5 10-story buildings clustered on a small parcel is out of character for the rest of the beach. I think a 6-story medium-rise building should be a maximum allowed. Second, traffic congestion. All of the people that 325 hotel rooms plus 200-seat restaurant plus the 68 condo units will draw to an already tight corner of the causeway will cause delays in the causeway and will be frustrating for the drivers trying to enter and exit the new complex. Space is very tight to add a left turn for drivers coming from the mainland to enter this new complex. Likewise, how would drivers exit the complex and turn left on Gulf Boulevard? There is no room to add a turn lane. My fear is that the solution to these problems will be the new traffic signal on the causeway to accommodate all traffic in and out from the complex. Thank you for serving the city of Madeira Beach. Please carefully consider this development and only approve a plan that will work for all the citizens of Madeira Beach. Next is from Ellie Ackley, January 10th. I see that the Board of Commissioners will hold a public hearing to change the zoning of marine property to planned development on the small Holton property. Why are you trying to ruin the unique quaintness of Madeira Beach and try to make it into something that is not? Do you want to turn it into another Destin, which was once a sleepy fishing village everyone loved until greed overtook common sense and long-term planning? Land got sold and the rules were thrown out and mega buildings were built, and it now is a big mess. No one likes to visit it, let alone stay there. Short-term greed for long-term disaster. I've called and left messages for you in December and did not hear back from you. I have written several elected officials in Tallahassee questioning Madeira Beach's power to strong-arm residents out of their rights and quickly throwing these money-hungry ideas down our throats. It will ruin Madeira Beach. I have attached a copy of my letters. Please stop all this abuse of power now. Stop taking over private property on the beach to throw parties and make money. Stop trying to make money by selling the parks around town, and stop all foolishness of ruining our city. Next is from Ingrid Farrow Spilled, stated January 11th. Board members of Madeira Beach, I, as a resident of Madeira Beach and native to the area, am looking forward to a zoning change at the Holton property. We appreciate all of the changes that have taken place over the years to make our city a more beautiful place to not only live, but for others to visit. We take pride in saying that we live in this beautiful area, that more and better changes are forthcoming. We can't wait to have another great destination in our community to enjoy by land and water. I like the plans that were shared at the last meeting and think it will make the entrance of our city beautiful. I believe that with more people, residents and tourists wanting to come to our city, our businesses, large and small, will thrive and will return and generate more funds for the city, even more improvements in the future. I thank you for your time. Look forward to meeting you this evening. Next is Grace Brown, January 11th. It's to the Commission and the Planning Commission. Dear officials, I'm asking you as a resident of Madeira Beach to carefully think before you approve the project to be built on a Holton project or Tom Stewart Causeway. I moved here 16 years ago because I love the beach and the easy access and the small town peaceful feeling I get every time I cross over the bridge. I sell real estate here and can't tell you how many times I've heard the same comment from my clients. I'm all for new development, but why does it have to be on such a grand scale, other than big bucks for the developer? Tom Stewart is already very congested during peak hours and super congested during spring break. I can't imagine how bad it would be with that many more cars a day. That property isn't that huge. Why not have the same type of scenario, only on a smaller scale? I'm sure you could find a developer willing to do that. After all, the Marriott came in and they seem to be doing fine. By the way, is this the same developer who tried to go in by gators? Please listen to your citizens of Madeira Beach, as they are the ones elected you. What you do with this project will set a precedent for future development. Next is from Paul and Julie Allen, February 6th. It's the City Commission and also the Planning Commission. I just wanted to say that I think that the project is not in the best interest for Madeira Beach. To be able to cross a bridge without big hotels is a welcome sight. This allows that the administration cares about the people of Madeira Beach. You have a chance to not follow sight with communities that after they allowed such thing to happen have regretted it. Make Madeira Beach unique, inviting, and not block the sun or take the sun out of Sunshine State. I don't even want to begin to tell you the traffic issues that will negate the community as a result of this project. For the sake of Madeira Beach, Pinellas County, and the state of Florida, leave something behind that you will be proud to leave to your kids, grandkids, and beyond. Make something that welcomes people, friends, and family beach community. Next is from Jeff Taylor. It's to the Commission and the Planning Commission, stated the 6th of February. I keep getting blasted by some group calling themselves concerned citizens, urging me to write against the planned development of Mad Beach. I say F them. I am 100% for modernization and development of Madeira Beach. I say bring it, the bigger the better. Let the tourists pay for development and infrastructure improvements. I welcome them with open arms. Next is February 7th, Michael Jensen. Dear Mayor Palladino, we have been receiving information from concerned citizens of Madeira Beach regarding the potential construction of the marinas in 150th Avenue, Madeira Way. We have a condo in Boca Vista, and we're very concerned about these development efforts. The reasons we bought in Boca Vista were due its small town atmosphere, quaint beach town, and proximity to the beach. At times, the traffic is very heavy, and it's very difficult to cross the roadway to drive toward the beaches. If these projects are approved, I don't think the area can handle the influx of the people and the vehicles. We were at the condo at the end of March last year, and the area was crazy. If you were not in the Archibald Park by 10:30, all the parking spots were gone, and people were parking in the Winn-Dixie and wherever they could find a spot. How will this impact the streets and the beach, or with such large number of hotels, condo hotels, and condominiums? We hope these questions will be considered and answered before these projects are approved. We are all for progress, but based on the proposed construction of Madeira Beach is going to look a lot like Treasure Island and St. Pete Beach, which means it will lose its character, and that all we find most attractive about it. Next is Diane Ray, February 8th. Please vote no to marina rezoning. More research needs to be done in regards to traffic and infrastructure impact. Next is Judy Taggart from February 10th. I'm against any PD that is all 8 stories tall. The Holiday Isles project is the first, and the other developers are lined up like vultures, waiting to see how this project plays out. Gulf Boulevard, 150th Madeira Way will be a consistent gridlock every day for 12 months of the year. If these projects are approved, our 2-story grocery stores will be congested all the time. Our public services will be strained, and this is just one PD. There are several vultures that want to build 8 to 10 stories. Just the construction alone will create problems, since 150 is the main corridor to travel on and off the island. The people that are in favor of this kind of project probably have some kind of benefit they think that they will get from this. The developers and those that will benefit in this, such as the city, the real estate broker, yacht broker, etc., could give a damn about the daily problems these projects will cause the residents that live here. I do not think the city needs 2 or 3 more hotels. Ridiculous. I think most of the people agree that 4 or 5 story development would be much more acceptable. Since 4 or 5 projects are in the works, I'm hoping that you will think twice about saying yes to granting the PD status from C4. PD status will then allow these developers to build 8-story buildings. As a commissioner, you're supposed to represent the people of Madeira Beach. I hope you as a commissioner have the guts to vote no to allowing this 8-story development. There's just a couple of more. Thank God. March 10th from Florian Samala. Dear elected and appointed officials, we must state our strong opposition to proposed development of the Holiday Isles Marina Plan. As many concerned citizens have pointed out, additional traffic from this development will create tremendous traffic problems when crossing the Tom Stewart Causeway, especially if there is an emergency evacuation order or in the case of emergency medical service vehicles that need to get through the traffic and across the bridge to area hospitals. Added to this is the double whammy of redevelopment of the loft property along 150th Avenue Madeira Way into high-rise, high-occupancy buildings, adding even more traffic congestion to 150th Avenue and Tom Stewart Causeway Bridge. Traffic as it exists today backs up along 150th to Gulf Boulevard and west to Doomy Road and beyond to the east when the bridge is raised for a single boat to pass under. And that is not even taken into consideration the Madeira Beach Fundamental School drop-off and pickup hours, with additional vehicular traffic from the Holiday Isle project and now the loft property will be facing an impossible traffic situation. We certainly don't choose to live in Madeira Beach. That becomes a mini Clearwater Beach. Only yesterday we drove from Clearwater City Hall to Clearwater Beach, and the traffic was so heavy it was bumper to bumper all the way across the bridge. It took nearly 20 minutes just to travel 3.5 miles. We live here in Madeira Beach. We don't want to deal with horrendous traffic jams. Overdevelopment lowers the quality of life. We are all for renovating, renewing, rehabbing Madeira Beach, as well as responsible development, approving an 8-story, high-occupancy buildings of Holiday Isle plan, together with the redevelopment Madeira Way and 150th Avenue to the park west of the bridge with even taller buildings, along with its attendant congestion, is not responsible in our view. We urge the Madeira Beach elected and appointed officials to carefully consider their decisions in this regard, as we all have to live with them for a long time. Next is from Kathleen Hanratty, dated March 12th. Dear Commissioners and City Manager, I will be unable to attend the March 16th BOC meeting due to recent surgeries, but I feel compelled to send you this email in lieu of my 3-minute podium talk. I and my neighbors at Madeira Cove have been strong supporters of the planning and execution of many endeavors taken by you. However, the recent planning of Holiday Isle project and the newly announced Madeira Beach development project has left me and my neighbors completely confounded as to what is going on. Up to now, all the planning and execution has enhanced our fine city, but the current projects cited above are a complete opposite. They will not enhance our city, but turn into another Clearwater Beach. This is not what we want, and it's not what we thought you wanted. It's not what we elected you to do for us. These two current projects being considered by you are not in the best interest of our fine city and will result in unbearable traffic congestion along 150th Avenue. We feel betrayed because many of us feel that these plans were in the works far back to 2014 when you passed ordinances 2014, 07, 08, and 09. These ordinances now allow for rezoning the properties if you approve rezoning and will result in increased density regardless of the wishes of your citizens. If we had known that the results of the approval of those ordinances would allow the buildings as high as 10 to 11 stories, you would have seen the outrage that is now apparent all across the city. Just because high-powered teams from the developers descend upon you and almost demand that you must pass their plans because they meet the new ordinances does not mean that you must approve all the tall structures they propose. Use your authority to reject the plans and tell them to come back with architectures that meet the intent of our fine city, just as you did with the Marriott Courtyard next to American Legion. You are not in the business of padding the pockets of rich developers at the expense of your citizens. The resulting traffic congestion along 150th Avenue, our neighborhood, will be unbearable, if not a danger to those of us who must enter and exit our homes. We know if you lived in our neighborhood, you would have similar concerns. We have no doubt your neighbors in your neighborhood would feel the same way if the traffic was increased dramatically. This is the only emergency evacuation route out of our city, and the street that services our school and all emergency service vehicles entering and leaving our city. To approve projects that would have thousands more vehicles per day on 150th would be a violation of the trust that we have in you and would be nothing short of a total failure of responsibilities to the citizens of Madeira Beach. Unlike the Planning Commission, do not ignore your citizens who voted you into office to represent all of us. Many of us are now wondering if there are under-the-table agreements between the developers and some city official. This is the thinking that always comes about when city planning starts to deviate from past approvals and developments. Many of us were outraged when our city attorney announced that the quasi-judicial process regarding this project is in effect, and went on to say that he advised the city commissioner that they could not discuss these projects with their constituents. How un-American when citizens cannot talk to their own elected officials about concerns and the issues they have. My time is up, but I and my neighbors implore you to vote against the rezoning of the two projects mentioned above, or that at the very least scale them down to a reasonable level. If you vote to approve the rezoning, then you must tell the developers that no final plans will ever be approved if the buildings exceed 5 stories, because that is in the best interest of the citizens that elected you to office. And it's signed Larry Roloffs. Next one is for Mary Neff, Mary and John Neff, March 14th. We live at 317 number F, Rex Place, and for more than 2 years, we have put up with the dirt, noise, truck traffic, etc. needed to finish the work of the new City Hall, Fire Station, Rec Center, and Rock Park. We were glad to do it as we felt the city needed a place for its young people and thought it would benefit the entire community of Madeira Beach. At the same time, there was also work done on the beach, the tearing down of buildings and building of a new CVS to add to the congestion, amount of dirt, dust, and noise. The construction of the new pier is also on the table, although I do not remember the hearings. The petition granted by the state of Florida says that there is no objection from the citizenry. A large claim to make when the citizens did not know of it until after the fact. Millions and millions have been spent in just a few years to make the above additions. Our taxes went up more than 1/4 in just 1 year. All these issues pale in regard to the problems we would face if the new plans regarding the nearby developments presented in the past few months are passed. When the proposed development was announced for the former Lev Rocks property, we were very concerned and troubled by the additional traffic that would be created in a traffic-sensitive area, not to mention the population density that would be added to the causeway in the downtown area. Our concerns were not allowed to be expressed as almost all the meetings were either canceled or held over the Christmas holidays. At no time during those hearings were we, the residents of Madeira Beach, told that another development would take place on the heels of the first one and just on the other side of the street. These additions would make the entire project overwhelming with the added traffic and the number of new residents, and would impact all of us, including our safety and the security of our area residents. We already have an intolerable situation trying to get out of the yacht club area, sometimes sitting at the stop on the corner for up to 15 minutes, and traffic backed up all the way to 150th Street, just to be stopped again with the bridge open. I cannot imagine the congestion with just the first development. But with the second on top of it, it will be impossible to get anywhere, whether walking or driving. We are not talking about one building or two buildings, but more than 8 different buildings, some as tall as 11 stories. Right now, you can look down the beach from the water side at John's Pass, and the only buildings that are tall right now on the corner next to our beach. With the addition of the 2,000 cars and people, and that is allowing for us only one person per unit, I cannot imagine the nightmares we will face, including flooding, terrible traffic congestion. There is no way to even anticipate all of the problems we would face, including the years of tearing down and rebuilding. We would have wanted to live in Clearwater. If we wanted to live in Clearwater, we would have purchased there. We moved here because of the proximity to the library, park, beach, and grocery, not to mention the laid-back atmosphere we found in Madeira Beach. I have not talked to a single resident that I have gone door to door that is in favor of either of these developments. Please stop the madness. Okay, we got 2 more in this file. All right, so this is from P.J. Everett. It's dated March 15th. Dear Mayor Palladino and Vice Mayor Poe, apparently our city now accepts written submissions from residents regarding recently proposed developments. I base this on the change in the process adopted in the Planning Commission meeting on March 14th, where the city attorney read ex parte communications into evidence. We are writing to you about the proposed development on the property next to the city marina known as Leverett Site, Holiday Isle project that is on your agenda for March 16th. We are in favor of the development of the site in line with all the overall vision of Madeira Beach Town Center and concur with our city goal to maintain this unique beach community character as published in the City of Madeira Beach website, Planning and Zoning. We have a very special and unique town on the Gulf beaches, currently seen as balanced between commercial and residential needs, albeit requiring improvement. Madeira Beach does not wish to become another Clearwater Beach or St. Pete Beach. We have our own identity, rooted in a fishing village heritage with a seaside appeal. For us, Madeira Beach's uniqueness comes from fantastic combination of grocery, drugstore, post office, library, rec center, and city hall, all within a compact walking area. Low-rise Main Street district with shopping opportunities and services for a range of incomes suitable for residents and visitors alike. Primarily distinctive local shops and restaurants only found in Madeira Beach, not national brands or chains. Not replicating the high-rise steel, concrete, and glass congested centers of Clearwater Beach, Miami, and other towns across the U.S. In this case, having attended the legally required developers meeting, we do understand this proposal is a mixed community attempting to make the most of the waterside site and serve as a gateway into our town. We applaud the architects for trying to create some interest with views, with stepped buildings and providing some public amenities. However, as the year-round residents and property owners of Madeira Beach, we do have some concerns and observations. Madeira Beach Gateway Development Scale. This proposed development will be a new gateway building to Madeira Beach, the first view and impression presented to visitors and residents alike. The current gateway and marker to the town is the towering Ocean Sands development on the junction of 150th and Gulf Boulevard. When built, this development was widely considered a mistake, as evidenced by the change in the zoning regulations so that today a high-density Ocean Sands would not be permitted. Currently, there is no incentive for redeveloping the Ocean Sands and thus removing this blight or blot on the landscape. It appears that this current proposal under consideration, a massive and an adjective used by our city manager in the WAVE Volume 4, Issue 1, development recreates the city acknowledged errors of Ocean Sands. We urge you not to repeat planning mistake of the past that leaves future generations with unwanted high-density eyesore. At various public meetings, the developer has stated to residents that the final buildings may be smaller than that is stated in the planning agreement with the city. This may well be the case, but it is not an assurance we can rely on. The Land Development Agreement is what we can rely on to ensure that development maintains our unique beach character and will also set the precedent for the developments that follow Madeira Beach Town Center. We understand from the city manager that the developer needs to make a return on his investment. In reality, the developer's primary objective is to maximize his return, which means highest densities in buildings that he can negotiate with the city. Such development is not compatible with the objective of maintaining the unique beach community character. It would propel the character of Madeira Beach in the direction of the suffocating atmosphere of Clearwater Beach. Is that what the commission intends? Higher net worth visitors are prepared to pay more for lower density, high quality accommodation. The developer will make a substantial return on lower densities. The city also gains through the increased tax base, and this is very attractive for investment in public amenities. I caution the commission against greed, not to be seduced by the notion of allowing taller buildings and higher densities in return for the increased tax base. Concurrent with a larger tax base is increased cost to provide and operate greater infrastructure capacity. The legacy of higher costs for the future generations. There will be many more opportunities to increase tax base in a sustainable way with other developments in the pipeline along the causeway of Madeira Beach. As explained by our city manager in the current issue of the WAVE, the ordinances that you pass with the other members of the Board of Commissioners to allow the planned developments are effective tools that come with great power and great responsibility. Specifically, you have the power to balance the size, density, and increased tax base of the proposal in front of you against the detrimental impacts on our city and the harm to the way of life of our citizens. We trust you would not approve something that doesn't fit what Madeira Beach is all about. To use Shane Crawford's words, and maintain the unique beach community character of our city. Other concerns, traffic. At numerous times, the traffic on 150th and Gulf Boulevard is problematic at best. We urge the commission to require and then act decisively on the findings of a new traffic study in February 2016, currently the height of tourism season, and look at the sporadic nature of the 3,000 plus cars using the site daily. The school traffic study is helpful for that area, but it's a different type of traffic in different location and was done in September, the slowest month of the year. Aesthetics. As mentioned above, we have unique opportunity to use this site as a distinctive, attractive gateway to the Madeira Beach for the next 100 plus years. Both the height and shape and the proposed contemporary coastal architecture is less than inspiring and makes no distinctive statement of Madeira Beach as a seaside town nor honors the fishing community heritage. We urge the commission to be proactive in this area and require something more considered as exterior architecture without compromising the functionality of the buildings. Residents should have some workshops and give input on this aspect. Pedestrian safety. We praise the developers for proposing pedestrian walkways and a new route under the drawbridge to connect the Millennium Park. Florida is well known as the most dangerous place for pedestrians. While making road improvements, the developers should consider other opportunities for improving pedestrian safety, particularly at other points along Thomas Stewart Causeways. Under your leadership, Madeira Beach has come a long way in recent years. Let's not now clone it into another Clearwater Beach, St. Pete Beach, or mini Miami, but rather retain our unique beach community and develop our own distinctive, locally appropriate scale and style. We are pro-appropriate, locally sensitive development. Signed Philip Everett and Ellen Lamperter. Okay, those were all of the emails, Mr. Mayor. I still need to address a couple of other matters before we move along. The first is the ex parte contact that was made with the commissioners that have given me their reports. I'd like to start with the report given to me by Commissioner Hodges. I'm going to read the email that she received and the response that she gave. There are a couple of them. December 16th, from Patrick Sullivan. Just a quick note to say I'm strongly against the proposal to build three 10-story buildings, the Holiday Project. The project is way too big. The congestion will be unbearable. I request that the project be limited to 5 stories. Let's not change the face of Madeira Beach. Thank you. And Commissioner Hodges responded on December 17th. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan, for expressing your thoughts and concerns regarding the Holiday Project. We have scheduled a neighborhood meeting for this morning, Thursday, December 17th, at 10 a.m. at the City Center room to address questions or concerns you may have. Please attend if you can. Also, Monday night, the Planning Commission will hold their meeting if this is most workable for you. Again, thank you for your time and concerns. We have a beautiful city we all love, and that is why we are here. Next is an email to Commissioner Hodges dated December 16th by Timothy and Bonnie Paddock. Dear Commissioner Hodges, we are 3-year residents of Madeira Beach, having been drawn to the nature, beauty, and activities of the area and the friendly people that enjoy the same. Although the city expenditures to improve the government office and services have been well received and appreciated by many, the overreaching proposal of the so-called Holiday Isle Marina property leaves us troubled. We think this development will be detrimental to the best qualities of Madeira Beach, and we wonder how it benefits the residents of the city. The recent Beach Beacon article quoted a city official with a favorable view of the project, that it has a lot of money riding on it, and though we don't fault the official for seeking opportunities for the city, we would prefer the project instead be viewed by having our community's quality of life riding on it. Has a traffic study been provided? Snug Harbor residents now resort to making a U-turn inside the marina entrance heading west. Bad enough now, but what a mess when several hundred more cars are added. How will we avoid the congestion that will undoubtedly occur both in and out of Tom Stewart Causeway? We doubt Madeira Beach residents are looking for a clear water experience to their daily commuter grocery store visit. Finally, we're disappointed at the timing of the discussion of decisions surrounding the rezoning. The neighborhood meeting has been set for a time that will exclude working residents, and the rezoning meetings have been set for times in the midst of holidays when many of our neighbors will be celebrating out of town. Is this a fair way to allow our discussion in our community? We trust you will seriously consider rezoning decisions since they are intended to keep overreaching development in check. Please consider this project with the knowledge of the permanency of your decisions on the quality of life in our city. Please ask yourselves, as we have, how this project will improve the enjoyment and life of Madeira Beach residents, not just the funds that can be generated. It seems development of this property can have some value, but please do not allow its overdevelopment. Thank you for your consideration. Commissioner Hodges responded on December 16th. Mr. Paddock, thank you for your interest in our city. We have a lot of good, positive things happening, and I appreciate your concern of the Holiday Isle Marina. On Thursday, December 17th, we'll have a neighbor meeting at 10 a.m. at the City Center room, which should be informative. The City Planning Commission will also have a meeting on Monday evening at 7 p.m. Information concerns will be addressed. Hopefully, you will be able to attend. Again, thank you for your interest. We have a beautiful city, and we're all proud of. And then he responded on 16, thank you for your information. My wife, Bonnie, should be able to make tomorrow's meeting. Next week is questionable due to the spending Christmas with her family out of town, like many of my interested neighbors. And then Commissioner Hodges also made note of a telephone conversation on January 8th. I received a telephone call from Denise Addis, 526 Lillian Drive. She states the phone number. On the Holiday Isle project, she said that she had received emails and questions on this project. I advised her that the city scheduled meetings for the residents to attend, explaining the planning board had a meeting scheduled for January 11th, 2016 at 7 p.m. She continued to ask questions, and I advised her I was not able at this time to discuss it with her. Since I wouldn't talk about the project, she indicated that it must not be true. Told her I didn't indicate that and advised her to contact City Hall and speak with the city manager or the city attorney. I also repeated myself on the planning board meeting and that she was welcome to attend, and the conversation ended. Those were all the ex parte contacts from Commissioner Hodges. I have a couple more for Vice Mayor Poe. First of all, making note that Commissioner Poe spoke to the following individuals, and this was the substance of their conversation. Sarah Gonzalez, engineering specialist at DEP. Question was asked if there was a moratorium and how many boat slips were allowed. Also talked to Sandra Gonzalez, FDOT traffic operations, discussed the distance between red lights. Talked to Daniel Santos at ISD transportation supervisor, FDOT. The question of how close can a red light be to opening a to an opening bridge, and if there was an opinion on the traffic study done by Gulf Coast Consulting. She spoke to Ray Eubanks at the Department of Community Affairs, the phone conversation concerning recommendations and objections to the 2008 Comprehensive Plan in letter dated January 13, 2009. She spoke to Eric McCartney, permit engineer, FDOT, discussed the amount of the increase in the traffic during tourist season. She spoke to Jason McDarby, land rep, Duke Energy, regarding Duke Energy easements. And she also made a site visit. She drove to the site but did not get out of her car. She spoke to the following residents, and this was the substance of their conversation. Stella Mansfield provided a site plan and rezoning application and ordinances 2014-07, 08, and 09. Spoke to Dan Penn, discussed planning meeting and BOC times and dates. He asked about a petition to stop the project, and I directed him towards the city clerk. She spoke to Donna Thompson. She was concerned about getting through traffic, and I explained that we would not know much until FDOT did their analysis. She also spoke to Judy Taggart, dates and times of the planning meeting and the BOC meeting. Sam Baker reviewed the survey with him, and Nancy Briner discussed the dates of the planning meeting and BOC meeting. And then there are some emails that I need to read as well. It was an email on December 14th from Lynn Rappa. As a resident of Madeira Beach for over 30 years, I'm disappointed the city official to fast-track the Holton property development on the Tom Stewart Causeway. This development is far too dense for this small piece of property. We, the people of Madeira Beach, had decided many years ago that we wanted to limit the height of buildings in our community to 5 stories. These buildings are overkill. The city officials should not be taking into consideration the traffic that this will cause on the causeway and how difficult it will be for the condo owners to live on 150th Avenue to enter and leave their property. This will be a very dangerous situation for not only the condo owners, but all the cars that use the causeway. Holton Properties well knew that the zoning when they purchased the property, and they should be advised to develop the property under the current zoning. Vice Mayor responded. December 22nd, the BOC meeting is taking place tonight. However, nothing will be discussed regarding the Holton property. Next discussion on the property will be January 11th, 2016. Not necessary to attend this one. Next is an email to the Vice Mayor from Richard Wolf. It's dated December 14th. This is the same email I read to you earlier from Mr. Wolf. The response by the Vice Mayor was, the BOC meeting is tonight, but nothing on the Holton property will be discussed. The next discussion will take place on January 11th. Save that time to attend. Next is an email from Diane Ray dated December 14th. I strongly oppose the proposed development on the Holton property as it stands. The population density is too high. We certainly don't need another condo hotel or 10-story hotel. I don't object to low-rise hotel or condos with a lower occupancy. Please keep more green space and limit traffic. What a traffic nightmare the proposed building would create on the causeway, plus losing the waterfront views and the hometown feeling of Madeira Beach will look like another Clearwater Beach, way too commercial. And the Vice Mayor responded, thank you. I sincerely share your view. That email was sent on December 14th. Next email was the one I already read to you from Tim and Diane Jacks from December 14th. The Vice Mayor responded, the BOC meeting is tonight. However, nothing will be discussed in the Holton project. The next discussion on that will be January 11th, 2016. Next is the email I previously read from Josephine Pugliese, dated December 15th. The Vice Mayor responded, Josephine, the meeting tonight just got canceled. The one tomorrow may also be canceled. I'll let you know what I hear. Next is the email that was from Arthur Menion on December 16th. The one I already read. The vice mayor responded, Art, the meeting for 7 tonight has been canceled. A good chance the one tomorrow will be too. I will keep you advised. And there was also a follow-up email the next day. Art, the BOC meeting is on tonight, but nothing regarding Holton property will be discussed. Next date is January 11th, 2016. Save your energy for that one. Next is the email from Timothy and Bonnie Paddock, the one I already read to you from December 16th. The vice mayor responded, Tim, the meeting just got canceled. I'll let you know if the one tomorrow is canceled too. I'll keep you in the loop. And there was a follow-up by the vice mayor. There is a BOC meeting tonight. However, nothing will be discussed regarding the Holton property. It will not be discussed again until it is taken up with planning. That date is January 11, 2016. Next is an email from Richard McKenna, December 17th. Doesn't appear that this has been well discerned, or a better decision to scale back on the project would have been discussed. Also, the timing of these meetings is quite unusual in late December. Why wasn't this brought to the awareness much earlier? Poor job on communicated has been exhibited. The vice mayor responded, the BOC meeting is still on for tonight, but nothing will be discussed in regards to the Holton property. Next meeting on that will be January 11, 2016. That is to make sure you attend. Thank you for your support. Next is an email from the vice mayor to Greg at MAC, something or other. According to the city manager, it's dated December 21st. According to the city manager, there was a power spike at the city hall and some wires were fried. We have no lights or AC or power to record the meeting. I will let you know if I hear anything else. It was also mentioned that they may have to cancel the meeting tomorrow night. The vice mayor also sent an email to Donna Abbott. Donna, this meeting just got canceled, and a good chance tomorrow's will be too. I'll keep you advised. That's dated December 21st. The same exact email was sent to Kathy Hanratty on December 21st. The email that I read to you from December 21st from Teresa Sanchez and Maria Castillo was responded to by the vice mayor by, the BOC meeting is on tonight. However, nothing will be discussed regarding the Holton property. Next discussion will take place on January 11, 2016. No need to attend this one. Next is the email from Brenda Boyd that was dated December 21st. The vice mayor responded to it on December 21st. Brenda, as of today, we have the planning meeting in an open forum. However, it has been decided that nothing will be recommended to the BOC until January 11th planning meeting. I know that you cannot attend tonight, but please encourage anyone you know to attend. The developers and their attorneys are supposed to be there. I have requested a neighborhood meeting with the BOC prior to us voting on anything. Thank you for your comments. And then she responded, thanks for responding to me, Elaine. I appreciate the response and letting me know that there will be a neighborhood meeting. I hope it is planned for after the new year. I will let my neighbors know about the meeting this evening. And then the vice mayor responded back. The city manager just called me and the meeting tonight has been canceled due to a power spike that fried wires that run lights, AC, and recording equipment. Good possibility that tomorrow's meeting will be canceled too. I would prefer that they be in January when residents are here and can participate. This project is immense and no one after this will be too, and another one after this will be too. No need all hands on deck to save our community from greed. Next, the vice mayor was responding to the email I read to you from Tom Green dated January 8th. Thank you so much for your input. It's very valuable information. I greatly appreciate it. I'll keep you advised if there are any changes in either meeting. Next, the vice mayor responded to the email from Bob Burnett that I read to you, dated January 8th. Her response was, thank you so much for your input. It's greatly appreciated. Please attend the planning meeting and the BOC meeting. If there are any changes like there was last month, I will advise as quickly as possible. Next is an email from Jan Ford dated Sunday, January 10th. I want to express as a Madeira Beach property owner, I am totally opposed to this proposed development. I want to preserve the small town atmosphere we currently enjoy and think the additional traffic this development would produce will be detrimental to our town. It always makes me sad to see that one of our existing hotels demolished in favor of a new hotel or condo. I love the old Florida flavor of our beach community. I think it highly unlikely, as the city manager suggested, that rejecting this project would make us susceptible to having a big box store encroach on our community, especially since Walmart has just opened their new superstore within a couple of miles this past year. Summerlin or Pinellas Park would be much more likely destination for these businesses. Rather than looking to building new high-rise monstrosities, I would much rather our city government focus on assessing zoning restrictions that prevent current property owners from pursuing reasonable use of their existing property. I realize I'm only one voice, but I would like to know my opinion is important to my elected representatives and those my tax dollars employ. And the vice mayor responded, Jan, thank you. As far as Walmart Super, Target Super Center, or a Bass Pro Shop, there is not enough acreage for any of these stores. You may think you're the only one voice, but those voices combined are what counts. Please attend the planning board meeting tonight at 7 and the BOC meeting on Tuesday at 6. Next email was the one I read to you from Ingrid Farrow-Spilled, January 11th. It was in the packet. There was no response. Next is an email dated March 11th from Grace Brown, who is a realtor. It's to the vice mayor. Actually, it's to all city officials. I'm asking you as a resident of Madeira Beach to think carefully before you approve the project to be built on the Holton property and Tom Stewart's Causeway. I moved here 16 years ago because I love the beach and the easy access and the small town peaceful feeling I get every time I cross over the Causeway Bridge. I sell real estate here and can't tell you how many times that I've heard that same comment from clients. I'm all for a new development, but why does it have to be on such a grand scale other than big bucks for the developer? Tom Stewart is already very congested during peak hours and super congested during spring break. I can't imagine how bad it will be with that many more cars a day. That property isn't that huge. Why not have the same type scenario only on a smaller scale? I'm sure you could find a developer willing to do that. After all, the Marriott came in and seemed to be doing fine. By the way, this is the same developer to go in by Gators. Please listen to your citizens of Madeira Beach, as they are the ones elected you. What you do with this project will set precedent for future development. And the vice mayor responded, Grace, thank you for your comments. Please attend the planning board meeting at 7 p.m. tonight and the BOC meeting tomorrow at 6. Next is an email from Mary Neff to the vice mayor. Elaine Poe, vice mayor, it was a shame that the meetings up till now were scheduled over the Christmas holiday when most of the condo owners, about 90% in our complex, were still up north. This addition to our small community will destroy its small town atmosphere. The vice mayor responded, thank you. Please continue to attend meetings. This is not over yet. There is a group here that wants to start a petition. However, we have to wait until everything is passed. Sounds a little backwards. I was not allowed to attend the meeting last night, but I've gotten numerous emails and phone calls this morning asking me if the deal was done. The answer is no. And the next are the emails that the vice mayor received following her telephone conversations from Daniel Santos, the transportation supervisor at FDOT. Also, email from Sandra Gonzalez, FDOT, and Eric McCartney. Next is an email. It's dated February 5th. It's titled Friends and Neighbors. You have all been aware of the proposed massive plan put before our city planning board and the considerable opposition by many of our residents. Many of us believe the traffic impact alone would offset any possible advantages to our citizens. The planning board has been unable to provide a recommendation to our city officials at this time. I feel this is due to significant opposition for our residents. Channel 11 News is scheduled to do a story on the MB residents' views on the proposed development projects. Channel 11 will be at Madeira Code Condos, 399 150th Avenue, 10 a.m. February 8th. This is next Monday morning. This is a great opportunity to show up to oppose the major development. We don't need all of us to voice our opinion, but a large turnout would go a long way to demonstrate the residents' concern. If you feel as we do about this project, please come out Monday and bring anyone else you know with you or with similar concerns. And the vice mayor responded, will you keep me in the loop on the Holden property? Our comprehensive plan requires a transportation analysis where access by development is requested to a road that is the jurisdiction of the state of Florida, and there can be no issuance of development orders until FDOT has completed a review. Our next meeting to discuss this issue is March 16th. Mr. Mayor, that is all of the emails, ex parte communications from the vice mayor. I've not received any other communications or reports unless you as the mayor or Commissioner Lister or Commissioner Shantz wants to make known on the record any ex parte communications. If not, I'd like to move forward to the next portion of the meeting.
Commissioner Schultz, do you have any? Commissioner Lister?
Okay.
None. Proceed.
All right, thank you. At this time, what I'd like to do, thank you for your indulgence, everyone. Anyone that's going to speak tonight at tonight's hearing, stand up, raise your right hand. I'm going to swear you under oath. Everyone that's going to speak. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, thank you. Please be seated. Mayor, it's now time for the applicant to make their presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Do we need a break first before we proceed?
It was more than 20 minutes, wasn't it? Was it an hour?
About an hour and 20 minutes.
I'll just start with it.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we please come to order? We're reconvened at 8:40. The applicant would like to proceed.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Katie Cole with the law firm of Hill Ward Henderson, 600 Cleveland Street, Suite 800, Clearwater, Florida, representing the applicant C&T and MHH Enterprises and Mr. Jim Holton. Thank you for having us here tonight and proceeding with this hearing. As Mr. Trask advised, it is a quasi-judicial hearing, and we've all just participated in one of the first burdens of quasi-judicial hearings, which is the explanation and disclosure of ex parte communication. Ex parte communication is prohibited in quasi-judicial hearings because it creates a presumption of prejudice regarding the application and therefore creates a conflict of interest between the elected officials who are voting on the application, hence the reason to disclose. So I was just realizing as I was going through the logs, Mr. Trask, that I believe that the Vice Mayor Poe had one additional meeting with the applicant's representatives in December that we wanted to be sure was on the record as being disclosed. I also, just for the record, wanted to point out that we did receive and review the log of ex parte communication from those who provided it prior to the meeting. And with respect to the Vice Mayor, there was significant prejudicial statements, including that statements regarding that the process was not over yet and we need all hands on deck to save our community from greed. The applicant's taken the position not to ask for the Vice Mayor's recusal due to the prejudice, but recommend that we proceed without that, understanding that the vote tonight is based on the evidence presented tonight. And while elected officials are able to investigate on their own, the decision and your burden is to base your decision upon the evidence presented tonight, the competent, substantial evidence pursuant to your code. Another housekeeping item, I wanted to go on the record to state that I agree with Mr. Trask with respect to the 3 requests for party status, that those were untimely filed based on the date of March 11th as their filing date, with today's hearing date and your code stating they must be filed 5 days in advance, and when it is less than a 7-day time period, you exclude weekends and holidays. That would mean these notices of party status would have needed to be filed last Wednesday. So we agree with Mr. Trask's determination that there should not be any parties of status. Finally, our last housekeeping item was just to confirm and enter into the record the initial and revised applications and supplemental information that's been submitted to your city staff, the evidence presented by staff and applicant at the Planning Commission, the neighborhood video meeting and materials which were provided to the city, and so I wanted to confirm that the commission would accept those into the record tonight.
Mr. Mayor, that's your decision, so you need to acknowledge one way or the other where you're going to receive those into evidence.
And it's mine alone, or do I need to get consensus from the commission?
No, sir, that is your decision.
Proceed.
Thank you. By proceeding, can I proceed?
Yes.
Yes, you accept those. Thank you. So now with this housekeeping out of the way, we will proceed with our case in point. And I wanted to start with the concept of a special area plan. And I think it's very important. We heard from many of the letters that you all received, and we heard at the Planning Commission, the 2 Planning Commission meetings that were held, and the developer heard at the 2 neighborhood meetings and individually at the meetings that it held with Snug Harbor's Board of Directors, that, well, where did this idea come from and why is it appropriate for this community? And the 2009 Special Area Plan articulates the ability to cluster intensity and density on areas surrounding the town center and to facilitate the redevelopment of privately owned property. Very interesting, in 2014, when the city amended the plan to expand the use of the additive density and intensity in not only the commercial core district, but the Causeway district where this property is located, The Pinellas Planning Council went through a pretty extensive review as to what that impact is. And the records of the Pinellas Planning Council and the discussion there talks about how within the town center plan, because not surprisingly, it is your town center, is a lot of public property. It's a public park, it's your where you expect your community to engage. And so there is limited private property to redevelop within this area. It also went on to discuss the fact that there are many already developed condominiums within this town center plan that exist. And so, frankly, there were few opportunities for redevelopment. And so the intensity and density that's provided for within the plan would really only be able to be concentrated on a limited number of properties. Mr. Holton's property, which his family has owned for more than 50 years, is one of those properties. It's over 4.5 acres, and it's located at the base of the bridge, as you all know. And it is ripe for redevelopment for what your plan suggests should be a mixed-use project. I'd like to introduce the members of our team that we have here tonight. Mr. Ed Hooper with the Consus Group, Mr. Istvan Petrokans with Behar Petrokans Architects, he's the architect of record, and Mr. Robert Pergolesi with Gulf Coast Consulting. Each one of them will offer testimony to you tonight, and in that respect, I'd like to present the resumes of Mr. Hooper, or excuse me, Mr. Pergolesi and Mr. Petrokans to the city attorney and the city clerk to enter into the record and qualify each of them as experts in their fields. Each of them, before they speak, will give you a recap of their expertise for your information.
Thank you.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Ed Hooper with the Consus Group.
Mr. Mayor and council members, good evening. My name is Ed Hooper, a partner in the Consus Group, a government community relations consulting firm, and representing the Holton Project Holiday Isles before you tonight. Based on the 15 minutes that Mr. Trask opined that it would take to read his emails, that turned into an hour and a half. We've heard a lot tonight. You just heard Ms. Cole articulate what exactly this body, whether it was made up of you or others prior to you, and what the desire was when you created this town center special character district. You had a vision of what you wanted your city to become, especially in this particular area, as the entrance to your city from the east. And I really think it's a pretty good vision. Good for you for having the foresight to do that. And as you heard, let me assure you that the applicant did not request December meetings. We were trying to work with the city staff and adapt to their schedule as they would prefer this to come forward. This project, which incidentally began in June of 2015. 9 months ago, this project began. So we are not rushing through a project. We have worked with your staff and your expertise and your experts for quite some time trying to get this into a position to where it is before you today. And as you heard, we had neighborhood meetings, one in this room, well attended, and an additional one that was not required, but we were certainly glad to do it, to talk about this project. And we listened. We listened very well. We listened to the point where we made a reapplication based on what we heard from not only the city staff, but the residents. And I want to tell you what we did in response to that discussion and what Mr. Holton had decided when we put in a amended application. And by the way, his family has owned that property since the 60s. His desire is he's going to be a resident on that 4.5 acres and be one of your residents every day. Since that initial application, based on what your code would allow as the maximum allowable development under the PD zoning, what's before you today has 47% of the maximum density Mr. Holton could have asked for. 47%. based on your code, what maximum is allowable today as far as height and bulk, this project today is 42%, 42, of the maximum allowable bulk that he could have asked for. So we have reduced our number of units by 22%. We have lowered 4 of those 5 buildings based on what we have listened to. 4 of the 5. The one that we did not reduce was never 100 feet anyway. So that didn't, that's still not going to be that. We have accounted for even an additional amount of parking spaces over and above the initial application. Not only do we meet the code, we're going to far exceed what would be required of the number of units. And so we think that based on what we hear and the fact that Mr. Holton is a local resident and wants to be part of this community for a long, long, long time, we think we have presented to you an application that is far within what could be requested. We think that we have strived to make this both landscaping and everything about it. And let me one final thing about a 200-seat restaurant. To give you an idea what a 200-seat restaurant equates to, that is the size of a typical Chili's, 200 seats. So it is well within what would fit in this 2 stories above the parking deck of this restaurant facility. This has been planned with the view corridors and the aesthetics and what we think Madeira Beach would be proud of to be the entryway into their city as they cross, as your residents and visitors cross that bridge. And to talk specifically about the architectural components, I'm now going to turn it over to Mr. Istvan Petronats, Principal in Behar Petronats Architects of Clearwater. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Mayor Palladino, Vice Mayor Pro, Commissioners.
You need to speak right into that microphone. We can't hear you.
Okay, I can hear myself. There we go. My name is Istvan Petronats. It's a good Hungarian name for people that care. I am a registered architect for about 35 years now, and I'm a principal at Behar Petronats Architecture as of today at 2430 Terminal Drive, St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm here to talk about Section 2, site plans and provisions required. Our team's vision for this project was to create a cohesive, mixed-use development that caters to the daily and weekly guests, residents of Madeira Beach, and full-time on-site residents. The guest experience for this project was to focus on the boating and the marina lifestyle by embracing its intercoastal relation and location. And whether by arriving by boat or by car, the site is designed to maximize enjoyment of the water and the views. With this proposal, we created an architectural consistent design that allows for views from within the project and outside the project, provides for a light and airy environment, hides the cars, and fulfills the owner's program, satisfies the city requirements, and allowing for a vibrant new place for guests and residents. Quickly, the project contains several key design and programmatic elements, namely, again, concealed parking, garage, service areas are all concealed. We have an elevated above floodplain esplanade level that is pedestrian-oriented and contains the primary individual building entrances. So they're all up at the level. We have a continuous 15-foot wide promenade around the building that the buildings engage. So it's not just a parking lot. It's actually, many of the buildings are down there. We have a residential condominium building. It's basically composed of 3 separate structures. 2 of them are 7 stories, and the one center one, the smaller one, actually width-wise is 9 stories above the parking. We have a limited service hotel that's 7 stories above parking, and a condo hotel that's 6 stories above 2 stories of parking, and a restaurant that is 2 stories above that parking deck. In conformance to the design standards of the SAP and the future land use plan, this development was designed so that each building within it is architecturally consistent with the others within the development, thus creating a cohesive whole. Again, the goal in the building placement, how we designed it, was to maximize the views so that you don't have a big block that from inside you can't see outside. That was the whole thing. And from the outside, that you can't see what's going on inside. Like I said, as opposed to a densely packed, blockier building, and that's the conversation, you taller, and the reason they're that height is so we can get them thinner to allow for building-to-building separation. The buildings, in our opinion, have well-articulated exterior facades on all sides, not just the inside, not just the outside, but on all 4 sides that incorporate balconies, glass walls, other adornments, and stepping to further break down the mass of the buildings. The whole idea was to really have not as much open land, open view and open air as we can. As you approach the building, the site from either the east or the west, the hotel does serve as the visual anchor. And as you approach, you'll start to see, as you come over the bridge, then you'll see the marina, the promenade, and you'll start to really see the pedestrian and the boating activity. Number 2 was the integral to the development's layout, and the design really was the pedestrian experience. This is accommodated with pedestrian access on both sides of the causeway, a new under bridge connector that connects over to, that's pursuant to your plan, a 15-foot wide, and that's the minimum width, promenade along the marina and along the perimeter of the site, with access up to the esplanade levels as well. And then the esplanade level is really the ground plane, and that's where the entrances to the main buildings are. And then also, number 3, all buildings within development carry a similar design and articulation. They're similarly scaled, and even though the restaurant is shorter, we didn't make all the buildings the same. That we do have, they're cousins, I guess if you will, to create a similarity in design. We also placed all the buildings around the perimeter of the esplanade level, again, to, number 1, to engage the promenade so somebody walking along that can get into any of the buildings. And then, I'm sorry, excuse me. And then what that does, it also allowed for the esplanade level, which is the level above the floodplain, to provide the building access for vehicles and pedestrians. The landscaping was a big criteria. I'm clicking my pen. It's fully integrated into the design, furthering the cohesiveness. The entire site is designed as a coordinated, interrelated site, and as required, a full landscape plan will be provided for final approval at each phase of the project. As we'll be discussing the staff comments, the scale of development, while is larger than several of the existing adjacent developments, however, individually, the buildings are of actually similar scale to the BOC Vista, which is 7 stories over parking. That's primarily what our buildings are. The scale of the development is within the parameters proposed by the SAP. To maintain the visual design as a requirement of the plan, all the various mechanical areas, service areas, the loading docks, the trash are hidden from view or screened. Relating to building materials, as stated before, the building incorporates high-quality materials appropriate to the architectural style, primarily stucco glass facades, decorative glass and metal railings, and other features, and all within a neutral color palette. The effect is harmonious. The buildings will blend with each other. In our opinion, the design and layout of the development enhances the site and redevelops right now a vacant parking lot and boat storage area. The site is significantly lower than the apex of the bridge and still allows for views, allows sufficient space between the buildings for the views as we discussed before. And the idea is to create an inviting destination, not a fortress. And that's really, again, why we had to separate the buildings. So you didn't have this wall of building that nobody knows what's going on inside. As mentioned before, the plan envisions significant landscaping designed from the onset as a mature development. And 10, in keeping with the goal of a cohesive development, signage will be carefully and sensitively incorporated into the final design. In summary, we do believe this is an important project for Madeira Beach. We approached it as such and the surrounding community. Our team's vision is to create a cohesive mixed-use community connected to the greater Madeira Beach community and to serve as the eastern gateway into Madeira Beach, all within the directives of the special area plan. Thank you, and we're available for questions. And Mr. Robert Pergolesi.
I'm shorter. Good evening. My name is Robert Pergolesi. I'm a AICP certified planner and a professional transportation planner with Gulf Coast Consulting. 13825 Icott Boulevard, Suite 605, Clearwater. I have 28 years of experience in preparing transportation studies. I was contacted in September to provide a traffic study for this project. I don't get to pick when I do them, but I'm told I need to meet a deadline. We always, in our traffic studies, use FDOT standard seasonal adjustment factors to adjust any traffic counts, any raw traffic counts we get, to peak season equivalents. And that was done in the case here. We conducted the counts in September, and these were actual volume counts along 150th Avenue. Those counts were adjusted to reflect peak season conditions, kind of the situation we're in right now, this week, next week, which assumes a worst case scenario. The existing conditions on 150th Avenue or Tom Stewart Causeway or State Route 66, depending on your 666, depending on your perspective, operates at level of service C, carrying a little bit over 2,100 vehicles on a 4-lane divided arterial state roadway. We did a revised traffic analysis based on the reduced plan. Based on the reduced plan, this project generates just over 3,500 daily trips, of which 289 would occur during the afternoon peak hour.
Deputy, could you come here for a second, please?
Thank you, sir. One thing we didn't do, and this was to be conservative in this study, is we did not take into account any potential internal capture. And internal capture is something that occurs, it's actually a trip reduction factor. When you have mixed uses in a project, it goes to account for any internal traffic interchanges between the mixed uses. We used the standard Institute of Transportation Engineers trip generation rates, and we assumed all of our traffic, all vehicles, would exit out externally onto the roadway network. We then split that traffic. Some of it goes east to the mainland, some of it goes west towards the beach. We have a median opening at the western driveway, which is served the city marina, and that's part of our access. The future conditions with the project impacts are still at level of service C. It's important to note the adopted level of service standard in your comprehensive plan is D, and the standards are A is the best, B, C, D, and F being the worst. So level of service C is within the adopted level of service standards of the city comprehensive plan. The level service D capacity of a 4-lane divided arterial is 3,580 vehicles per hour. With the project impacts, we expected this section of roadway right out in front of our project to carry a little bit over 2,300 vehicles, which represents a level service C condition, so there's quite a bit of excess capacity there. The proposed improvements that we're proposing to make as part of this project and have discussed with FDOT are to extend the left turn lane and relocate the median opening that serves the Marina driveway a little bit further west, like another 50 feet further to the west, to provide maximum storage length for left turn vehicles. The improvements also include a pedestrian walkway underneath the bridge. FDOT prefers the median opening relocated further from the bridge, and we've been in continuous contact with FDOT throughout this project. I want to touch a little bit on hurricane evacuation. In the event of a hurricane watch, hurricane warning, tropical storm warning, advance warnings are given days in advance. In that situation, the bridges remain closed. They don't go up. And if required, all lanes would be in one direction heading off the island. We believe there will be ample opportunity for hurricane evacuation of the beach, including any permanent residents that would reside here. After the planning board hearing, we conducted additional counts on 150th Avenue. These were done in February, just last month. As you might expect, they were a little bit higher than what we got in February, but I can say that using those traffic counts that we got in February and adding this project traffic on top of it, we would still be maintaining level of service C conditions on 150th Avenue. I stated we've been in constant contact or continuous contact with FDOT. FDOT is in agreement with the proposed road improvements, and they are awaiting our permit application. I'll turn it back to Ms. Cole, and we're here to answer any questions you got.
I have one. You're going to add 3,580 cars per hour.
Oh, no, ma'am, no.
Okay, say that again, then I missed it.
The capacity, the level of service D capacity
I understand that part.
is 3,580. Our project would add 289 during the peak hour. The 3,500 number was the daily. That's a 24-hour total. Thank you.
Thank you. And not to be remiss with the audience behind us, we do have pictures. You all received in your application packet the actual site plan applications, but we did want to bring some pictures. One of the photos that is provided is a blow up of the Exhibit C, which is the off-site improvements paper in your site plan. And this was just sent around, and I'll set it back so the audience can see it as well. It is part of the application. Part of this process is unique in the fact that the comprehensive plan, when it was adopted in 2009, states that there's a recommendation that the city adopt a provision that all redevelopment and development projects within the special area plan must do the PD zoning. In 2014, when the PD zoning was already in existence, it was adopted by the city in 2005 to contemplate a variety of different developments. In 2014, amendments to the special area plan were adopted, and that resulted in the requirement of a PD zoning application in conjunction with uses and specific properties that were seeking to use this additive density and intensity, which is permitted by your plan. Included in those amendments was also the requirement that the owner enter into a development agreement with the city to memorialize what that plan looks like. So it's several layers of the same type of permissions and regulations. But I thought it was important, despite the fact that you're not actually hearing the development agreement tonight, I thought it was important to go through some of the provisions of that agreement because it's truly integral to the PD plan. And it is what establishes the conditions of approval and the permit, and actually permits then the construction based on these conditions of approval. And as you can expect, the conditions of approval were generated generally by your staff and then discussed between the developer and your staff. And they include the responsibility to relocate utilities as necessary and to ensure that public utilities continue uninterrupted and are provided. The construction is subject to current regulations of the building code, that erosion control measures are applied, that SWIFMUD and DOT permits are properly obtained and presented to the city prior to certificates of occupancy being issued. The Public Works Department, the Fire Department, Community Service Departments of the city all have final approval on the actual engineered site plans upon their submittal. And that the final approval of the parking count, and Mr. Hooper and Istvan both spoke to this, that the parking is provided in its entirety. Some of the comments were about Archibald Park not being able to handle more traffic and more parking. It's important to note that this project provides 100% of your minimum parking as required by code and is not seeking any parking variances. A phasing plan would be approved by your staff. And then the off-site roadway improvements, which are the exhibit that I just showed, are a requirement, and they must be constructed prior to phase 1 of the construction of the project. Mr. Healy of your staff and I have continued to have discussions since the submittal and since the Planning Commission and listening to the comments. And one thing that we recommended this week that should be clarified in the draft development agreement, so when you actually receive your agenda packet with the final development agreement for your approval, is a requirement for a hurricane evacuation and operation. This is integral for the temporary lodging uses. The operators acknowledge that as temporary lodging uses, that evacuation standards are met as required in the countywide plan as well. The burden tonight is for the applicant to present this evidence and for you to weigh the evidence that's presented tonight, that the project as presented meets the code in your comprehensive plan. Mr. Hooper described the responsiveness of the developer, and while we understand that some people think it's too dense or intense, the developer did respond to those comments and create a project that is less than 50% of what could otherwise have been proposed on this project. Our architect reviewed your criteria and its code and offered specific examples of how the project meets your code. Mr. Perlisi testified as to the level of service and the concurrency as to DOT's review of the access management plan to the site. The conditions of approval will be memorialized in the development agreement that will be forthcoming at second reading. In brief conclusion, this application meets the intent of your special area plan. It meets the vision that was established in your comprehensive plan. It's specifically responsive to the 2014 amendments to your comprehensive plan and fully complies with the code. And we would respectfully request your approval tonight on first reading of this plan development rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cole. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Cole?
No.
And just, I've got one comment to make. And at the time, I believe 2009, I was on the Planning Commission for the, when we did the town center, the city did spend $250. I'm sorry. On 2009, I was on the Planning Commission. It did pass with full approval of the Planning Commission, the town center. The city spent $250,000 on that plan, and Madam Schatz, you were the mayor at that time with Commissioner Lister. Did that pass through the commission, if I believe so, with full?
Unanimous.
Okay, thank you. Just for the record, I want to make sure, because we worked this process all together.
Okay,
Yes, and I'll also point out along those lines, in 2014, the commission unanimously approved the amendments to the special area plan to facilitate the redevelopment of these particular sites.
And those were the ordinances that the city worked with Dave Healy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, if there are no questions of the applicant, now it's time for Mr. Healy, followed by Mr. Cerna, to make staff presentation to the city before we hear from the public. Okay.
Mr. Healy, if you want to proceed.
Mayor Palladino, members of the commission, Dave Healy with Calvin Giordano and Associates, 13535 Feather Sound Drive in Clearwater. And I'm here tonight with my associate, Louis Cerna, to present the staff report that we have worked on in conjunction with your staff with regard to this project. I guess given some of the formalities, I'll file my resume, if I may, with the clerk as well. I'm a fellow of the American Institute of Certified Planners. I have 47 years of experience in city planning and land development here in Pinellas County for the last 38 years. I guess the first thing I ought to say is that I wasn't the consultant that did your town center plan for $250,000. Let me make that clear. What I would like to do is revisit some of the points that Ms. Cole touched on with respect to the chronology. You're here tonight, you've heard a lot about, you're going to hear a lot more about details, building height, density, parking, a lot of the specifics that are very important, but I want to try and put that in context of what's happened really over the past 14 years that began in 2001 in Madeira Beach with the initial discussions on what ultimately became the Town Center Special Area Plan. I'll talk a little bit about that background and then turn it over to Mr. Cerna, who will review the specifics of our staff report with regard to those important specifics of this project. That process involved a series of public meetings and charrettes dating back some 14 years. The process kind of kicked into high gear in 2006, 2007 with the city's consideration and update of its then 1999 comprehensive plan. That requirement was one of the State Growth Management Act, whereby your plan was required to be updated periodically, and you went through a quite protracted process in 2006 and 2007 with the so-called evaluation and appraisal report process that led to the adoption of your updated comprehensive plan in 2008. Important to note that in that 2008 plan, it provided for a new plan category called Planned Redevelopment Mixed Use. It didn't put it on the map. It didn't really enumerate how that was to take place, but the plan articulated the intent to create this new district and provide for redevelopment through the use of that district. In 2009, then, the Town Center Plan, as the mayor referenced, was prepared, a so-called Special Area Plan. That term comes from a requirement in the countywide plan that in order to utilize some of the specific provisions that are available to you as a community, you have to not only adopt it through the ordinance process at the local level, which you did, but it was approved as an amendment to the countywide plan.